chance I have is you saying X.
Oh,
So no. I'm
okay.
hitting the caption itself.
Okay.
But now I just did something else. Oh my God.
Okay, everyone. We are live, and here we are. We are live, and it's 6:59. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
And so there is closed captioning this meeting. That's what I think some people are talking about. And I'm trying to figure out if it's actually coming through just within the WebEx platform, or if it's also going to YouTube. And I don't see it on my little YouTube image. But anyway, hello, it's 7 o'clock now. This is the December Queens Community Board 6 general meeting. My name is Alexa Weitzman. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the chair of the board, and we have a big meeting tonight. So with that, let's just get it started. First up on the agenda, as we always do, is public forum. And we have a few people tonight that are going to be speaking in a general sense about issues in the community or introductions. And then we do have some folks that are going to be speaking about the Trilon site, the Euler vote that we have a little bit later in our agenda. So those I'm going to hold on until we get to that point in the agenda. So if you're here and you signed up to speak about that and you don't hear your name now, it's because we're going to hold on until we're all kind of in the frame of mind and we have our Euler hats on. So that said, if Brentley Winstead has joined us in the attendees. I
Just promoted him, so he should be able to speak now.
Brentley, you have the floor, and you are here from the Child Center of New York. So you have 5 minutes. Brief would be great. You can always send any information that you would like to the board that we'll send out afterwards to our members. So go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brentley. I'm from the Child Center of New York. Our headquarters are located in Forest Hills on Queens Boulevard and Union Turnpike in the Forest Hills Tower. We are a nonprofit who works throughout the entire New York area and also Long Island, but we mostly work with families and children in Queens. And I'm on here tonight because I would like for us to get more involved in our community, specifically in the community that we have our headquarters in, because you guys are our biggest, supporters and people who would say like, hey, if you want to know more about like mental health or childcare or youth development or things like that, that is what we do. So we want our name to be more known in the Forest Hills community. So that's just a little bit about the Child Center and what we do. However, what I came on here today is that right now we are currently in the middle of our toy drive, and I know that there's a lot of toy drives going around right now. So we are, everyone is doing their part to put smiles on kids' faces this year. And what I'm asking is that if anyone has I was muted, I apologize. So if anyone would be willing to reach out to their personal contacts or market for us, or just, donate toys to our organization just to help the kids this holiday season, that'd be great. We're actually, our goal is to fundraise and pass out 4,000 toys this holiday season to all of the children in our programs. Those children attend our programs every day, even on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We do offer programming on Saturday and Sunday as well. So that's just why I'm here and what we're doing, and just wanted to introduce myself and what the Child Center is and what our campaign is. So I know I have 5 minutes, but I want to see if anybody had any questions, because I was speaking fast and there was a lot of information put out to you all at one quick time.
Thank you so much, Brentley. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Well, Brentley, any information, about this toy drive, we can promote that on our social channels and send it around to our board. So please send that in. And thank you so much for coming to introduce yourselves tonight.
Awesome. Thank you. Look forward to talking with everyone again soon.
Okay, fabulous. Next up, we have Bielka Feliz, but I didn't see them on the list, so we will come back. And is Vanessa on the list? No. Pramit, or did you see either of those names and promote anyone? Or maybe I'm the only person that.
No, I have not seen them.
Okay, so
Alexa, I see 3 phone calls, 3 people calling in by phone.
right. That is a loophole that we never really know how to deal with. Okay, so I see 2, in terms of the attendees, I see 1 attendee that's on the phone. So why don't I'll promote that person. So 917 phone number, that was it was a 917-535 number. Are you either Bielka or Vanessa? You can unmute yourself with *6, I believe. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Does anyone know?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
*6.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes. What is your name?
I am Bielka. Good afternoon.
Oh, Bielka. Yes. Great. I'm sorry I said your name incorrectly, but you are now promoted, so you're able to speak for 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening to everyone in Queen 6 Community Board. My name is Bielka Feliz, and I am a longtime resident of New York City. I'm not affiliated with any organization, though my professional work is in the public health field. I'm here today more of as a resident and advocate. So basically, I wanted to talk very quickly about diet-related disease and how it's a major cause of morbidity and premature mortality in New York State. And it disproportionately affects individuals of lower socioeconomic status. And of course, for this reason, I feel that interventions to improve diet quality in these individuals of lower socioeconomic status is super important. So there's currently a New York State Senate bill in the committee that presents a policy opportunity, which I think can help address this issue. I'm speaking of Bill S-2667 that seeks to extend EBT recipients with an opportunity to participate in community-supported agricultural markets. So as it stands now, there is funding that is extended to farmers markets, which allows EBT recipients to use their funds at farmers markets. This privilege is not extended to folks who would like to shop or be part of CSA markets. And for that reason, I'm asking for you to please look into this bill, Bill S-2667, and please advocate with your local state senators to vote in support of this bill. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that information with us. And your comments are now on the record, so they'll be in the minutes. And Vanessa Jones Hall, are you one of the one of the phone numbers on our list? I see that Bielka, which number? You don't want to say it out loud. Okay, so
it's okay. My number ends in 9633.
Okay, we actually see the other numbers, so now I won't have you say them out loud because then we would know the whole number. But okay, so there is a 917 number and a 347 number. Are you the 917 or the 347?
I'm the 917.
Okay, great. And then the 347 number, is that Vanessa? Okay, so I'm not sure who that is. Can you identify yourself either way? Three, 4, 7, 5, 1, 0. Okay, so I'm gonna make that person I don't know. I'll leave them there, I guess. Okay, so Vanessa, has Vanessa shown up on the other list? Has anyone, Pramit, have you found Vanessa? No. Okay, so like I said earlier, if you signed up to speak about the Euler proposal, we'll be hearing from you later in the agenda when we're going through that part of the meeting. And just please, if you can, if you're here, just keep yourself on mute. I see that there's a lot of kind of background noise. So if you can just take time to just look at your computer and press mute. Okay, that said, again, my name is Alexa Weitzman. I use she, her pronouns. You're at the Queens Community Board 6 General December meeting. And we finished the public comments that are general public comments. We'll be hearing from public comments related to the Euler proposal a little bit later in the meeting. Up next, oh no, we do have, oh no, Vanessa was not here. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so up next we have minutes. Everyone received the minutes. They were super thick because they had so many public comments in them, but everyone received them and hopefully had a chance to look them over. And can I have please unmute yourselves now. Oh, Jean, do you have something? Right.
Yeah, on the minutes, I have a request. I had requested when I gave my report on the 10th to have the minutes, put my report in the minutes. And the whole report unfortunately wasn't put in there. And I'd like to know, why my request wasn't followed through. I specifically asked for it to be put in the minutes.
Okay, so the minutes are not a verbatim script of what happens at the meeting, but do you have a specific motion that you want to make about something that was left out that you'd like to include?
Yes,
Or-
I would make a motion. I would like the written information that I gave you, so all you had to do is cut and paste and put it in. The report was made up with the information all attached to be put into the minutes.
That would be verbatim.
Generally not. We generally don't do that, especially if you did have the chance to speak. We have to reconcile what you were speaking with what was sent in. But if there's a second, I guess. Okay, so without a second, I'll just move forward. I mean, the minutes that I received, I looked through and we sent them out to everyone. So can I have a motion from the floor to approve the minutes as written?
Aye.
Aye.
So that was Howie first. Can I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Second?
Aye.
Sorry, everyone's speaking at once and it happened so fast. Who was the second? Who was the first
Alex.
second?
I think it was
I think
me.
it was
Okay, Tanya. Great. So everyone unmute yourselves now. And everyone in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
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 Does anyone not want to approve the minutes as written? Okay, the minutes are approved. Up next is my chair report. And so just to kind of go over the coming attractions, like I said, we have a long meeting, so we're going to do chair report, district manager report, then we're going to be doing nominations for executive committee. That's the kind of opening act. Then we go into the land use proposal, and then we have some committee reports and good and welfare. So keep that in mind as going forward. I'm going to try to keep myself brief, but I do have some things to say. So my name is Alexa Weitzman. I'm chair of Queens Community Board 6. Welcome. I'm so happy to see all of you. And I actually want to start on a little bit of a serious note. And I sent a memo to the board earlier this week, and I just want to say it in front of everyone that maybe didn't get to their email or and really just get it on the public record, is that we've been dealing with the land use committee and the board has been dealing with a Euler proposal that has had a lot of discussion, and the members of the land use committee have been engaged in conversations around this proposal for close to a year. And everyone has been taking it very seriously. And I want to say publicly, thank you so much to Prameet Kumar, chair of the land use committee, and to all the members of that committee for the diligence and the work that you're doing. However, I've been made aware by a number of community board members that there's been comments on public forums online, which is really, that are disparaging the work of you all. And so I wanted to bring that to your attention. I'm really disheartened to hear that, because we've spent a lot of this process engaging with the public and allowing public comment. We had a public forum, a public hearing about this in our land use committee meeting in early November, and then we had more comments that we made room for in our November general board meeting. All of those comments have been sent around to board members, and everyone has had a chance to hear, from the community at length. And I'll just say, personally, I worked directly on text to make sure that people were able to get on to the meeting to speak. And the truth is, a lot of those comments were redundant, but that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that the public has a chance to be heard in this process. So I take that very seriously. And when I hear that people in the community feel like they're not being heard, and they say really negative things, personal attacks about board members, it really upsets me. So I wanted to take the time to say thank you to all the board members, and also just really underscore the work that I think me, the land use committee, and the front office, everyone has been doing to make sure that everyone's voice has been heard, including educating the public. Like, it's no secret that the Euler process is opaque, right? Like, they make it difficult, and it is sometimes challenging to find a place to interact with a city agency's process. However, we spent a lot of time trying to educate community members about what the purview of our board is, and what a yes vote would mean, what a no vote would mean, and what we're actually voting on. So this is not, we can't make up what our say in this is. We vote at the end of the day, which will be in 30 minutes or so. And we're not voting on preservation. We're not voting on landmark. We're voting on updating the zoning code for a block in Forest Hills or Regal Park. So I tried really hard to educate everyone about that, because I'm still learning, and I hope that the public did learn. And I hope that the public knows that Community Board 6 will always be welcoming to public comment. That's why when I became chair, I moved public comment to the beginning of the meeting. So I don't want to kind of take up any more time, but I want you to know that it is very serious. And I heard from a lot of board members that they were really disappointed and upset to see that. I don't think it's in good faith to be posting comments like that on public forums. And I hope that there's an effort to reconcile differences and understand that while the decisions that this board is making is serious, we take it very seriously, and I hope that the respect is both ways. So thank you to all the members of the public who have engaged in good faith. Thank you to all the board members who have put in hours and hours of remote live meetings, as well as email chain after email chain. I see the work you do, and thank you. And our community is really the better for it. No matter what the vote is, we took a critical look at this, and so thank you so much. I had notes about that, but I really went off script. And just one more thing about that, which is that the community board members are appointed by the borough president and by the council member. And community board front office staff or board members have nothing to do with that process. What is a new process in this past year is that we took a look at really codifying public membership to committees. So there has been a process for that where we opened up membership to public community members to sit on committees and be engaged in those conversations. So there are actually 3 members of the public who sit on the land use committee, and anyone can apply to be on the community board. And if you don't get on the community board, anyone can apply to be a public member of the committee, of any committees. And we hope that you do, because I think that taking, you know, a stance and being engaged in these processes is empowering. And so the application for the community boards will be open in January. I always promote it heavily, so we're not trying to gatekeep anything. So please apply. And then just my last few things, please get your booster. Vaccines are available to everyone 5 years of old or older. Test sites are still open, and I think that some of you may have heard that they there was a possibility that they were going to be closing the LaGuardia site, but after advocacy, it was extended to a mobile site. And I'll just say that I hope that that's continued as a permanent mobile site going into 2022, because free, accessible, open, you know, permanent sites are really what this community and all of Queens needs and deserves. And just going into January, if you remember from, I guess, August or September, there was the possibility that open meetings law was going to go back to a pre-pandemic status, and we advocated for that to be extended, for remote option to be extended, which, you know, after a lot of support from our elected officials and a lot of advocacy work by our board and also other community boards, it was extended. It was extended until January 15th, 2022. I've reached out to the borough president's office to try to figure out what that's going to look like, if we are going to be going back, if that's going to be a hard stop, and there's really no answer yet. So I know that there are still concerns in the community about getting back in person, and I want to just have you know that, you know, we're trying to get all the information that we can get, and as we'll certainly let you know as soon as it becomes clear, you know, what we're going to do, because we have, as of now, our meeting is I think the 10th or the week before, right? Our meeting in January is before we're supposed to go back in person, so we can have one remote meeting still. Latrice, I see you. I'll come back to you in one moment.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'll wait for you to finish.
It's okay. Now's a good time.
Okay. Now I just want to make 2 quick points. One about the COVID testing. A satellite site that I would regularly visit throughout the year in Woodside has since shut down. It used to be a car lot. It was right outside the Northern Boulevard train station. You couldn't miss it. I went there all the time for testing this year, and that site has since closed. Granted, it's not within our district, but just an FYI on that. So, and that's number 1. Number 2, as far as the, you know, virtual meeting, I motion to continue it meeting virtually until further notice. Our next meeting, according to the calendar, is January 12th, and you're right, that's just before the cutoff, while we wait for Governor Hochul to make a decision. But I'm in favor of continuing to meet virtually until further notice, until they get this virus under control, now that we have yet another variant popping up. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Latrice. Yeah, and just so everyone knows, once, and this is what we ran into last time, once the decision is made, it's a New York State law, and you know, we're bound legally to that law. However, we hope, and I know a lot of the state representatives also hope that this is a really great opportunity to look at the law as a whole and to maybe, you know, revise it to including a hybrid option, which now it does not have. So all of this will let you know as it kind of unfolds, but it's on my radar. So that's what I wanted to say. And finally, you know, this is my last full meeting as chair. I've really cherished the 2+ years that I've been, chair, and I've learned so much, and I've really, I'm just so grateful to everyone's support and really proud of all the work that we did as a board and on committees, and getting through really the toughest journey in a while. So I just wanted to take another opportunity to thank all the board members and the front office, of course, and Frank and Christine and Maria and Barbara, just to say thank you. And I guess that was my finally, but my finally is Hanukkah's over now, but happy Hanukkah if you did celebrate, and Merry Christmas if you will celebrate, and happy solstice if you celebrate that, and if you don't celebrate, that's also valid, and I see you, and enjoy the lights nonetheless. So that's it. Thank you for listening to me, and with that, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alexa. For your 2.5 odd years that you just mentioned, everything when Alexa came on board, a lot of you know this, some of you might not know it, but we sat down and she put down her goals and I put down my goals, and we reached every single one of them. And I'm proud to say that we did it with very few times that we actually disagreed, but we agreed always to disagree or agree. Well, you want to look at that. But, and because the passion that Alexa Weitzman has, along with so many board members, cannot be measured, And I'm out there with all the boards, as many of you know, and I know what I'm talking about when I can say something like that. By the way, Alexa, happy birthday on Saturday. I wasn't going to say it, but I did now. I just want to talk about something that Alexa mentioned a minute ago about some misinformation that's been out there with regarding to 9881 Queens Boulevard. This board, as a city agency, we do not, Mike, I'm sorry, I was going to say your name. We do not answer to social media. We just don't do that. We're all about the facts. We're a city agency. So things have to go through the office. If there are any questions, any problems, we're here for you. With regard to what's been going on this past month, we just received yesterday, just so you know, there was a financial audit report done for the board and all the boards, by the way, and we came out on top. Thank you to my staff for doing a great job on that. With regard to some training that the staff went through, they just did a diversity training. They did an EEO training, and sexual harassment training will be really soon. There was a glitch in the Do-It system, not so much our system, but there is chatter out there that the board themselves, they're going to be looking at training for board members. I know Alexa had to take some training also, just so that we're always on the same page. Applications for community board open up in January. This year we have 17, I want everybody to hear this, 17 members of our board that's with us today, here tonight, are up for reappointment. Some will, some won't. Some people are leaving, some people will be coming. But that 17 in 2022 are up for re-election. So keep that in mind. That's really important. That's all I have to say. Happy holidays to everybody. We're always around to answer all your questions. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alexa. Appreciate that.
Okay. Thanks, Frank. So up next on our agenda are nominations. And so for those of you who are experienced CB6 members, we've changed the nominations. I know that there are some members who this is your first meeting doing nominations. So I just want to kind of orient everyone to how we're going to be doing it. We've separated nominations from the elections. So tonight's meeting is just nominations. We're going to be going one by one, starting with chair down. We have some of the executive committee positions are actually renamed. So like new packaging, same great taste or something like that. And so I'm going to be reading the roles just so that everyone understands what they are. Everyone, so in order to nominate, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier on the meeting. I think I don't want to use the raise hand function for this. We might change it after chair, who knows? But I think you should unmute yourself and nominate someone, or ask to be called and nominate someone. So I guess, yes, let's use the raise hand function. And it's going to be like Jeopardy kind of, so like do it quickly. And I will call on you, you'll nominate. All nominations need a second, and then the person who is nominated must accept the nomination. All of the names of the people who do each of those roles, the nomination and the second, have to be recorded for the minutes. So it can't be like a hubbub of everyone speaking at once. So we will use the raise hand function. And we will go down, and then we'll deal with the elections next year. We have time. Okay, so the first, I will now read and actually I'm just going to read also from the bylaws.
Excuse me,
Eligibility.
Alexa. It's Christine. Can we do
let's
attendance quick first?
Yes, let's do attendance. Thank you.
Okay.
So
I'm
Christine, why
just
don't you
gonna
read
call
what you
the
see?
people that I didn't see. So if you're here and I call your name, just let me know. Kavish Batra, Alejandra Diaz Houston, Emmanuel Kalendarov, Jack Medina, Pat Morgan, Rafael Niktalov, Irina Tamieva, Edwin Wong.
Sorry,
I think
here.
I saw
Oh,
Irina.
hi Irina. Okay.
Are you there?
Edwin Wong and Daniel Yakubov. Okay, so I got Irina as present. Everybody else was not present.
Okay.
And we have a quorum.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the eligibility for office, you shall not concurrently serve as an executive officer of a political party. This provision shall apply only to the offices of chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, and third vice chair. B, shall not concurrently serve as a direct employee of the mayor in the government of the city of New York or the president of the borough of Queens in a paid position. And C, shall not be in the final year of their 8th consecutive year on the board. That has not really kicked in yet. So officers will be elected for a 1-year term of office. Each officer may serve 4 consecutive 1-year terms. Okay, so we're going to open the floor for chair of the community board, and I'm just going to read the roles. Shall be the chief officer of the board, shall preside at all regular and special executive session, public hearings, and other meetings of the board, may, upon the chair's own initiative, whenever the chair deems necessary, or shall, upon written request of 5 members of the board, call a special executive session or other meeting of the board. D, shall appoint members of all standing and special committees and designate the chairs thereof unless otherwise provided by these bylaws. E, shall have the right to invite any person to speak at any executive session or other meeting of the board, whether public or closed. F, shall prepare an agenda for each executive session or other meeting of the board and shall cause same to be transmitted to the board and the borough president within the time provided by these bylaws. G, shall transmit to the City Planning Commission or other appropriate agency a notice of the time, place, and subject matter of all public hearings in sufficient time for publication in the comprehensive city planning calendar to be distributed not less than 10 calendar days prior to the date of any said hearing. Shall act on behalf of the board whenever necessary and shall report back to the board. Shall serve in any other capacity and perform other such duties as may be required by law, rules or regulations or executive orders, or as may be directed by the board. So I'm opening the floor right now to nominees for the role of chair. And we have Anicia.
Nominated Heather Diaz-Dimitris for chair.
Okay. Is there a second?
There is a second. I'm very happy to second the nomination.
Okay. Heather, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Okay, great. Is there another nomination for the position of chair?
Yes, I'd like to, this is David. I'd like to nominate Jean Silva.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Who was
That was
that?
Howie. Howie.
Okay. Jean, do you accept the nomination? Jean, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is there another nomination for the role of chair?
Alexa, can we nominate you?
I have decided not to run, so I will not accept. But thank you. I'm flattered. Is there another, anyone else want to nominate another? No?
Yes,
Okay.
I'd like to
Oh.
nominate Elizabeth Newton. This is Gladys Sandoval.
Oh, thank you.
Gladys?
But I'm
Thank you.
I'm not going to accept. Thank you though. I appreciate that. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Okay, so I will close the floor for nominations of the role of chair and open it up for first vice chair. And the roles shall possess and exercise the powers, authority, and duties of the chair during the absence or disability of the chair, shall be an ex officio member of all standing committees of the board, shall perform such other and further duties as may be directed by the board or by the chair. So I'm going to open the floor for nominees for first vice chair. John Durzowski. Do you have, I don't see you, John. But I see your name. Can you hear me? I don't see you like a wait for, like there's a little icon that's next to your name and I don't see it. So I wonder if you're maybe not connected to your audio. Okay. So the floor is still open for nominees for the role of first vice chair.
I nominate Peter.
Peter?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone second the nomination?
Do, Anicia.
Anicia? Peter, do you accept?
Yes, thank you very much to those who've nominated me. I gladly do.
Okay. Are there any other nominees for the role of first vice chair? Okay. The floor is closed for those nominations. Next, the role of second vice chair of the community board shall possess and exercise the powers, authority, and duties of the chair during the absence or disability of the chair and the first vice chair, shall perform such other and further duties as may be directed by the board or the chair. And C, shall chair the board's land use committee, which is responsible for the coordination of the board's duties, responsibilities, and functions with respect to the board's responsibilities and the board's Euler planning, zoning, strategic planning, landmarks, franchises, concessions, and other than parks, consents, site selection variances, and other land use matters as delineated in the Charter of the City of New York as adopted November 1989. So this is for the role of second vice chair. The floor is open.
I nominate Prameet. I'm sorry. Okay, Prameet was going to nominate somebody.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Elizabeth. But I'm actually going to step down from the board after this term. I'm moving out of Forest Hills and really sad about it. But I would actually like to nominate Keith Engel for the position of second vice chair and head of the land use committee.
Okay.
I will second that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, so that's Prameet, and then Ralph nominated Keith. Keith, do you accept?
Wow, thank you. Everyone, yes, I accept. Thank you.
Okay, great. Are there any other nominations for second vice chair? Okay. So I'm closing the floor for nominations for second vice chair. We are going on to third vice chair. Shall chair the Capital and Expense Budget Priority Committee in coordination with the chair and district manager has the responsibility of coordinating the board's role in overseeing, developing, and presenting the annual expense and capital budget priorities to the full, board for approval. So I'm opening the floor for nominations for the role of third vice chair.
I nominate Mark Laster.
Okay, that was who said that? Ralph.
I said that. Ralph Leonard. I nominate Mark Laster.
Okay. Is there a second?
I will second.
Okay. Mark, do you accept?
Yes, I accept.
Okay.
I just
Are there
wanted
any
to,
other?
that second was from Bruce Grossberg, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other nominations for the role of third vice chair? Okay. Moving on to the Secretary of the Administration of the Community
Hi.
Board shall approve. I'm sorry, what was
Sure.
that? Bruce, you need to put yourself back on mute. I'll do it for you this time. Okay. Secretary of the Administration of the Community Board shall approve the minutes of the meetings and attest same to be true, shall perform such other further duties and as may be directed by the board or by the chair. I'm opening the floor for Secretary of Administration. Kevin Lee.
I'll nominate Sheridan too.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second him, Gene Silva.
Okay. Sheridan, I don't see you here. Are you?
I'm here.
You're-
Hi. Hi, I'm Luke.
Okay.
See me?
Do you
Am I
accept?
wait- I do accept. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Is there another nomination for the Secretary of Administration?
Yes, I have a nomination.
Okay.
I nominate Tanya Paget for Administrative
Okay.
Secretary.
And I second that.
Sorry, hold on, Mark, and then that was Ralph seconds. Tanya, do you accept? Tanya's here, right?
Yeah, she's here. She's here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see you, but I heard you. There you are. Okay, great. I feel like this is The Bachelor, where I'm like, do you accept this nomination? Secretary of Finance shall review all financial records of the board and shall make an annual report thereof and such intermediate reports as may be directed by the board or by the chair, shall monitor the expenditures of the board for compliance with its approved budget and shall inform the board in the event of any determination of actual or potential variances, shall serve as the chair of the finance committee of the board, shall perform such other further duties as may be directed by the board or by the chair. So opening up the floor for nominations for the role of Secretary of Finance of the Community Board.
This is Sheridan.
Yep.
I'm here to nominate Kevin Lee.
Okay.
I would like to second that. It's Gail.
Who was that? That was Gail?
Gail.
Okay. Great. Kevin, do you accept his nomination?
I accept. Thank you for the nomination.
And are there any other nominations for Secretary of Finance?
Who was the, excuse me, who was the second for Kevin? I had Gail as first.
Oh,
second.
Sheridan was first and Gail was second.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, and finally, Parliamentarian, new to the block, new position this term. Parliamentarian of the Community Board shall be responsible for knowing the bylaws of the board and the pertinent sections of the city charter and Robert's Rules of Order, shall rule on all questions of procedure referencing Robert's Rules of Order. All rulings can, however, be challenged by any board member and, upon the approval of the majority of the board, shall be overruled. The parliamentarian shall not be prohibited from making, debating, or voting on motions before the board. Where a motion is made by the parliamentarian, all questions of parliamentary procedure shall be ruled on by the chair subject to the same provisions found at some point B above. And D, shall perform such other further duties as may be directed by the board or by the chair. Are there nominations for the role of parliamentarian?
I would like to nominate John Doroshelski.
Okay.
Gail.
And I'd like to second it, Elizabeth Newton.
Okay. I see John here, and I don't know. John, can we hear you?
Here.
Yes. John, can you make a like thumbs up or thumbs down? Can you hear us?
Alexa, John
Yeah?
asked me, John, who I spoke to in the last 3 minutes, has asked me to accept on his behalf if I'm allowed to do that.
Oh, I see his thumbs up. Okay, fabulous. So on both accounts, he is accepted. Great. Any other nominations for the role of parliamentarian? Bruce, your hand is up. Is that up
It's
still?
Jean. Yeah, it's Jean.
Oh.
I didn't get my hand up. I like to nominate Susan Wagner. Susan?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to accept, but I do appreciate it.
Okay.
Alexa, I see a hand up from Sheridan. I don't know if it was up from before or not.
Yep, Sheridan, your hand
Or
is
for
still up.
Kevin,
Do you have a nomination?
Kevin, sorry.
What was that?
That was from before. I don't have.
Okay. So any other nominations for the role of parliamentarian? Okay. So nominations are closed for this
Executive board.
nominations event. And we'll let you know in advance what we're going to be doing for the elections. If you remember, when we revised our bylaws, we did stipulate that elections will be by ranked choice voting, and they'll either be, remote. I mean, they'll be remote. I mean, we'll be here probably in January. Okay, so thank you, everyone. And thank you to those who accepted the nomination. It's really heartening to see people stand up and or put themselves forward. So thank you to everyone. Okay, so next we are doing the Land Use and Housing Committee report for the Euler proposal at 9881 Queens Boulevard. And so I'm going to hand it over to Chair Prameet Kumar, who he always has a great slide deck, and he will wow us with it, and we'll hear the recommendation, we'll hear some background, and then we will bring it back to we'll hear some public comments at that point. So if you're here waiting to speak about this, we will promote you at that time. And go ahead, Prameet.
All right, can everyone see my slide?
Yes.
Yep, we
Yes.
see it. See it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you all know why we're here. We're going to be talking about the development at 9881 Queens Boulevard. As always, map on the left, Google Street View on the right. To quickly summarize, I know we're already all familiar with this, but this is a potential zoning amendment to be able to build a development similar to what is on the proposed column. So it would be 144 apartments, 44 of them would be affordable. The big question here is, do we allow this rezoning or not? If we allow the rezoning, something like the proposed column will be built. If we don't, the developer can still build as of right for a building similar to the one in the as of right column, which would be, as a developer has stated, 103 apartments. None of them would be affordable. It could still be up to 16 stories tall. So again, as we go through this, let's keep in mind the developer could build as of right, and they have suggested that this is something that they might be able to build if the zoning doesn't go through. We actually want to start with some public comments here before we go to the committee's recommendations. So we have one written public comment, and we have a few speakers who signed up. So I'm going to start with the written comment first. So this is from Donna Schwab. The proposed demolition of the Tower Diner Colonial Bank Building and the Ornaton Synagogue and Community Center in the Art Deco 1939 World's Fair inspired Trilon Theater would not only be a loss of historic significance, but also put additional strain on the current community's resources. There are those who do not care about the community's past and what that means to our tapestry of cultures and beliefs, and they are entitled to that close-minded opinion. But what certainly cannot be disputed is the overcrowding of our streets, lack of parking, tightly packed public transportation, lack of local hospital beds, and burgeoning class sizes in our local schools. There are currently several large buildings already in the process of being built along the Queens Boulevard, Forest Hills, Rego Park corridor. Once occupied, all of the resources mentioned above will already be pushed beyond their currently overextended limits. I believe that the current petition against this development already has over 4,000 signatures. I understand that development of a certain size and class of building is desired by the owners and developers of these properties, but the communities are losing their neighborhoods. Tightly packed like sardines without a unique quality or flavor, we not only do a disservice to the resources we rely upon, but to the current citizens who came here because of the quality and personality of our area. Again, half of my argument is about the numbers and density, and half about feelings and opinion, but please demonstrate that you do indeed care about both. A solution that might be able to take all of the desired wishes into consideration would be conservation of the current structures and integration into a smaller version of the proposed development. I am not privy to the specific number of estimated persons and families that would be added by this development, but could we preserve, dare I say restore, the current structures as the base of any new development and restrict it to no taller than the surrounding 6-story buildings? Honestly, I would prefer to see no additional floors added, but again, I am writing in a spirit of compromise and preservation. Thank you for your time, Donna Schwab. Thanks for writing in, Donna. And we'll take this time to do the 4 public speakers who've signed up as well. So Alexa, I'll stop sharing my screen for a bit, but Michelle, Guy, Guy, Evan, and Donghui are the 4 speakers.
Okay, so I promoted Michelle, and everyone has 2 minutes. Mark, you're going to be keeping track of time, please?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Michelle, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of the Historic Districts Council. I have a prepared statement. Statement on proposed 9881 Queens Boulevard rezoning. The Historic Districts Council is the citywide advocate for New York's historic neighborhoods. HDC works with communities throughout the 5 boroughs to encourage the preservation and enhancement of their neighborhood's historic character. The proposed rezoning and new construction at 9881 Queens Boulevard will be detrimental to the historic and cultural integrity of the Rego Park and Forest Hills neighborhoods of Queens. Approval of this project will result in the demolition of the Trilon Theater, Tower Diner, and adjacent small businesses, which were constructed in 1939 at the time of the World's Fair in Queens. The Trilon Theater, a prominent Art Deco-style building, and adjacent Tower Diner, a quaint colonial revival-style corner structure, hold outstanding architectural and cultural significance. Forest Hills was a 2014 HDC 6 Celebrate neighborhood, and Rego Park was a 2020 HDC 6 Celebrate neighborhood, having been identified as areas that are considerably underserved by preservation protections. HDC chose to highlight the preservation efforts of Rego Forest Preservation Council in protecting this hub of Art Deco architecture that dates back to 1925. The integrity of which is being directly threatened by the impending demolition of the Trilon. Not only will the proposed project strip the community of its historic fabric and character, but
Michelle, you have a half a minute.
Oh, okay. There was a very large petition. I'm going to cut to the end, but we'll send the full testimony. Sorry. To mitigate the negative impacts of Rego Park and Forest Hills communities, we urge denial of the rezoning as proposed, with multiple opportunities to pursue preservation through redesign or financial incentive pending eligibility in the National Register of Historic Places. The destruction of these resources is entirely unnecessary.
Okay, Michelle, you have to wrap it up.
I'll go one more sentence.
Okay.
We urge the applicants to work with community members to find a solution that seeks to protect the historic buildings on site and develop a more appropriately scaled development for the context of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michelle. And yeah, we will definitely send that, or we'll include the full comments in the minutes.
Thank you.
So if you send that in. Okay, up next we have Guy or Guy Menahem.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
You have
great.
2
Thank you.
minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Queens Community Board 6 for allowing me to speak tonight. I come to you just as a private citizen and a resident of this local area. Although I have only lived in this neighborhood for about 6 years, I will never forget the day that I moved to the area. One of the first buildings that I noticed was the Tower Diner. I immediately fell in love with the uniqueness of the building. And then once I had the opportunity to eat in the diner, I also fell in love with the beautiful interior as well. In my view, it is one of the iconic buildings that really defines this particular part of the neighborhood, i.e. the border between Rego Park and Forest Hills. And for me, it also serves as a marker. When one is on Queens Boulevard, it's the place where you know, okay, this is where you turn to go to that part of the neighborhood. I think that we have a few such buildings that really give this corner of the neighborhood a unique character. And both of these buildings, the Tower Diner and the Ornaton, would definitely appear on a list of such buildings if a list were made. In regards to the Ornaton, one of the things that makes this area so special is the presence of the unique Bukharian community. And I believe that it would be a huge loss if a house of worship that is a part of that unique tradition is lost to demolition. It is my understanding that there may be architectural options that involve...
You got half a minute.
Thank you very much. It's my understanding that there are architectural options that may involve building around these structures, and I believe that those options, not demolition, should be pursued. These are truly treasures, and their loss would be a loss to the entire neighborhood, to Queens, and frankly to New York City. I thank you in advance for taking this into consideration and giving me the opportunity to speak this evening.
Okay, thank you, Guy. Up next is Evan Bacardi, and you're already promoted, so go ahead, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening, community board. My name is Evan Bacardi. As always, thank you for your dedicated service to this community. We really appreciate you volunteering your time and efforts. I myself am not a NIMBY. I am not against a 16-story building going up in our community. I'm all for it. However, there are two notable structures on site that you're all very well aware of that do have architectural merit, in my view. The former Trilon Theater and the Tower Diner, which I propose could and should be integrated into the new building. There's no reason that I can see engineering-wise that the developer, RJ Capital Holdings, could not, at the very least, save the facade of the Trilon, an Art Deco masterpiece harkening back to the 1939 World's Fair, and and have its unique marquee integrated as the new entrance for their new building. I see no reason why the glorious architecture of the Tower Diner could not be integrated into the new building as well. In exchange for agreeing to preserve some small part of our neighborhood's history, I submit that the developer be awarded with a more generous Florida area ratio for his plot, allowing him to build an additional 2 to 3 stories above what he's requested. I disagree that a tall 18-story building is out of character anywhere in this neighborhood. You could walk 5 minutes in either direction from this
Half a minute, Evan.
Thank you, Mark. And you could run into the 27-story Alexander building or the 22-story Parker Towers. Allowing this gentleman extra Florida area ratio to produce the additional profit should be more than cover his costs in saving this piece of the neighborhood's history that's in the stone and the brick of the Trilon Theater and the Tower Diner. Please try to save our history, and maybe compromise and civility will rule the day. Thanks for your consideration.
Okay, thanks, Evan. And up next we have Zhang. And just to clarify, because Dongwei's comments were actually included in correspondence that we sent out at the last meeting, he signed up to speak, but it just didn't get onto my initial list. So we did send them out, but he's requested to speak again tonight. So that's the only reason that we have him speaking and also sending, just in all transparency. So Dongwei, the floor is yours for 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Community Board 6.
I appreciate your service, your contribution to our community. So I'm not involved with this tower diner thing since the beginning, so I don't know much of the history. So it looks like it's already unstoppable for them to build the high-rise apartment building there. So then I wonder, if so, then would it be possible to negotiate with them, not fight with them, for them to find another place? Or if they cannot, just like everybody has said, try to think of a talent way without destroying the major architect piece, but let them kind of integrate to each other. From the last meeting, I heard a lot of opinions about that the Forest Hills is too old. It needs to be updated. Yeah, yes, I agree. But I think modernizing Forest Hill, it should start from the old apartment buildings, especially those built in 50s, 60s. It shouldn't conflict with preserving the historical landmarks. So, I mean, and I also know that the online petition has already 400,000 plus signatures. I know I heard of many stories that many people have their childhood memory story there. So it's part.
Dongwei, half a minute.
Okay, thank you. So please try our best to preserve this community gem. Thank you so much. I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Alexa.
Don. Okay, thank you. Okay, so those are the 4 comments that we received. So to Pramit, I just want to take one aside that I see, Vanessa, you've joined us. I see your note in the Q&A. If you can hold on, and we'll call on you at the end of the meeting. So I can't seem to text back to you on that Q&A thread. So just hang on, and we'll call on you when there's a moment in our agenda. Thank you for joining us. Okay, back to you, Pramit.
Thanks, Alexa. I also want to thank all of the public comments today, as well as all of the many, many public comments that we've received over this entire process. Our committee took a lot of these comments into account as we made our ultimate recommendation. So you'll hopefully see a lot of these comments reflected in our recommendation, which I'll share in just a second. I also want to remind everyone that the community board has no power to stop the demolition of the current buildings or to prevent a building from going up. I know I've said this a few times in the past, but we can't stop the developer from doing that. We only have some say over what kind of building can be built, and that's what this rezoning conversation is about. So the question is, what do we approve the rezoning or not? And the rezoning will allow us to get the affordable units that we've been discussing. So keep that in mind. That's the only decision that we are here to make today. All right, let me share with you now our recommendation. So hopefully you can see my screen again. The Land Use Committee has voted to approve the rezoning with the following 5 conditions, and I'm going to read these conditions. The first is to add deeper affordability to the development with a weighted average of income bands reaching 60% of area median income or lower. The second is to incorporate architectural elements of both the Trilon and the Tower Diner marquee and facade into the building design. The third is to pursue environmentally friendly green building certifications such as LEED Gold or Platinum. The fourth is to hold good faith discussions with both the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York and contractors, especially MWBE and local contractors, to ensure that workers have a prevailing wage and benefit standard. And the fifth is to uphold the previously agreed to points that we've shared with the community board already, and they relate to mitigating the development's impact on traffic flow, minimizing construction disruption on Queens Boulevard, including bike lanes and the surrounding community, working with 32BJ SEIU for building worker jobs, giving preference to existing tenants should they wish to return after construction is completed, and the retention of existing businesses and community facility spaces. So again, the committee's recommendation is to approve the rezoning with these conditions. So what we did was we actually sent these conditions back to the developer and we got some comments on them. So I'd like to share these comments before we take our full board vote, just so people have all the information. So with the incorporation of the architectural elements, The developer said that the design team will work on revising the exterior details and the massing of the new building to incorporate elements of both the Trilon Theater as well as the Tower Diner. So, you know, they are going to incorporate some of these design elements. In terms of environmentally friendly certifications, they won't be doing LEED Gold or Platinum, but they will meet local laws 33 and 97, as well as some other green elements. We haven't had a response yet on working with the Trades Council, the Construction Trades Council, and the prevailing wage and benefit standard, but we'll follow up again here. And in terms of the 5 things that were previously agreed to, they have reiterated their desire to work with us on that. So they're going to have their traffic consultant work with us on anything we need from the DOT. They're going to work with the Department of Buildings and the DOT to make sure that any construction disruption is minimized and that you know, bike lanes stay open and unobstructed. They reiterated their desire to work with 32BJ. They also agreed to give preference to existing businesses once the building reopens. And, you know, they are also going to try to provide dedicated space for a synagogue if, you know, that synagogue wants to return to the space. In terms of the deeper affordability, we asked them if they could do 60% area median income. And I just want to read the response here, just so everyone's on the same page. So they said option 1 of MIH, which provides rentals for incomes averaging 60% AMI, has been further analyzed and determined it is infeasible for the proposed project. As such, the applicant respectfully asks the board to reconsider this request and support the proposal with affordable dwelling units under option 2 of MIH, which requires that rents be made affordable to incomes averaging 80% AMI. In our previous correspondence, we provided an analysis of regulated rents under MIH option 2 compared to market rate rents. This analysis showed that those regulated rents would range between 55% and 75% of market rate rents in the surrounding area. This does not account for the fact that these new units would consist of newly constructed units in an elevator building. As such, we believe MIH option 2 rents averaging 80% AMI, a blend of rents for incomes at 70%, 80%, and 90%, would provide affordable 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units for working families. So the summary from all these responses is that you know, they are amenable to some of these conditions, but others won't be able to be met. And so with that, I just want to reiterate again, here's a page that shows what we will be soon voting on, which is the committee's recommendation. We have recommended that we approve the rezoning with these 5 conditions. So I'll pause here. I think this would be a good time for us to have a board conversation before we go on to the actual vote. And I can also, I know this was a lot of information, I can also answer any questions and clarify any points.
Quick question about the allowing people higher accessibility to come back once they, you know, if they want to come back. Is there any part of that where it's like, if they want to come back, you can't rent that same apartment or an apartment like it for 3 times as much? You could like drastically increase the rent once they come back?
Sorry, when we say tenants, we're talking about the commercial tenants here, not residential tenants. So it would be the businesses and
Same question
institutions.
applies.
Oh, I see. Okay. Eric, do you want to take that?
Hi, I'm sorry. I didn't understand the question.
Repeat the question.
So the question is, so if the commercial tenants wish to come back, is there a part of this agreement where it says they can't drastically increase the rents when they come back?
No, there is no part of that, and I'll explain why. None of the tenants that are in place right now have truly expressed a strong desire to come back. The Tower Diner has relocated or is planning on relocating. I believe they already have another location. And there's been a very friendly, amicable relationship with the ownership in the building. All of the tenants have been very well aware for a very long time that this has been in the works. We've been before your board for 3 years at least, and it's been in front of the tenants for at least that long. The number one tenancy that's been the subject of much discussion on that front, where we are offering to give them a quote unquote sweetheart deal out of an altruistic intent, is the religious congregation that's there. They have been offered the chance to come back. They've been offered the chance to come back. There's been a space that's been presented to them. There's been an offer that's private, but it has been made by RJ Capital towards them. It has been altruistic in nature. It has been laden with goodwill and good intent. And there has been every effort made to accommodate them from both a practical perspective of current spatial needs, as well as a financial perspective for future rent levels. So to answer your question, it's no to the commercial tenants because it hasn't been needed. They're not staying. It has been offered to the not-for-profit religious-based organization that has been located within the space. I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.
Bruce, looks like your hand's up. Go ahead.
Thanks, Pramita. Thanks to everybody who worked so hard on this. I didn't work so hard on this. I've attended none of the committee meetings. So I just wanted to ask you a process question. You've given us an approval with recommendations and conditions, and then how did it work? Did the committee devise these conditions and recommendations, and go back to the developer, get his comments, and then vote to approve or disapprove, or did your vote to approve come before you knew what the developer was going to say?
Our vote came before. So it was the vote, then we got feedback from the developer, and now we're here before the entire board.
Okay, thank you.
However, there has been back and forth, like, the condition number 5 was previously negotiated items that we have gone back and forth with over the past 10 to 12 months.
That's right. We've been in constant contact with the developers.
Well, thanks for all
And
your work. I appreciate it.
they've been extremely responsive to our concerns and comments.
Any other questions
yeah,
or comments? Yeah, I know we've discussed this a lot, so people might be ready to vote already. John, I see your hand.
Are we
Not
going to
sure
be
if
able
your
to hear
audio's
John?
working yet.
I don't know if we can hear
Sorry,
you,
John. Let's go to Brendan until John's audio gets figured out. You might want to drop and come back, John.
Yeah,
Brendan,
I
go ahead.
recommend that, John. Just leave the meeting and come back in.
Your writing is in this book.
Sure, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Totally fine.
About the book. Mr. Polanic, I appreciate the responses to the concerns brought up by the zoning committee. I'm just wondering if you could let us know why you did not respond to the request for discussions with local contractors, MWBE contractors, and the Building and Construction Trade Council of Greater New York. Why you did not respond in writing?
The reason we didn't respond in writing is because we haven't really been presented with any discussions yet. We are happy to talk to people. We can't make any commitments. We have spoken to 32 BJ and have committed to their to an agreement with 32 BJ. But with respect to the other unions, we cannot commit to anything. We are dedicated to using locally sourced labor and a minority women-owned business workforce. But we really, the margins on this development are extremely tenuous, and it's difficult for us to make any other commitments right now, which is why we just didn't respond at all. But having said that, we are anxious to continue any conversation with any organization that would want to come meet with us and talk to us. We just cannot commit to it.
Thank you. I find it ironic that you're willing to mention now the precariousness of the finances on this in relation to labor, but you were willing to put it in writing in relation to the affordability.
It's the unions and the price points that things come in at requires an intensive discussion, and it's not something that we can even come close to committing to doing, and we don't want to give that impression.
No, to be honest, I believe that having a good faith discussion is a very, very low bar. It's not asking for a resolution, nor is it asking for a commitment to use of that labor. But for that very low bar, you were not able to respond.
Like I said, we're We are willing to speak to them. We are in a deal, signed agreement with the union, 32 BJ for the operation of the building. You're obviously well aware right now that there are supply chain issues plaguing the world. The cost of building materials are through the roof. You're obviously very well aware of the cost of union labor, and and you're also probably aware that the applicant is providing affordable housing in this development on their own dime. So for all those reasons, that's why we're not willing to commit to anything with the unions, other than to say to you personally and everybody on this call, and it's a public record, that we're happy to have them in our offices and sit down and talk to them and let them present to us ways that we might be able to make some economical relationship with them. But that's not something that we would want to combine in the Euler application.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks, Brendan, for the question. Peter, let's go to you.
Yeah, thanks, Pramit. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts, if I can, on this. I am very grateful to the landowner, the Abramovs, for working so diligently with the committee, and it's important for landowners to be able to engage with us. But one of the things that we've made very clear from the beginning, not just on this project but on other ULURP applications to us, is the great importance of giving us the deepest affordability in housing that is possible on a project. I can understand if maybe a weighted average of 60% might be too deep, but just so everyone, not everyone understands how this works, when we say a weighted average of 80%, which is the option that the applicant is pursuing, what that ends up looking like in real terms is basically the number of units, 44 units, roughly are divided into 3 affordability bands. 70%, 1/3 of the units will be at 70% of the area median income, which is an area median income for the entire New York City region, not just for Rego Park or Forest Hills. 1/3 at 80% and 1/3 at 90% AMI. And, even if they can't reach a weighted average of 60%, which is where we would like to see developments, because the area median income that's being used to calculate these rents is actually higher than the actual area median income in this area. So it's not quite the way that it sounds. And also, I have to correct Mr. Palatnik, what he just said. This affordability is not just being done on the building's owner's own dime. This is very much something that is helped to be funded in part by the tax privileges that this project will receive if the zoning amendment goes through and if they're able to build the type of building being proposed. So there is taxpayer money in the form of abatement that will help fund these. And this is the procedure that's provided for in the MIH program so that we can get some affordability. It's the only tool that currently that we have on the table to try and get that. So I think it's imperative.
Peter, can I just
hold on I'm sure Pramit will give you an opportunity in a second, but I'm not done.
Thank you.
There is definitely advantages that developer receives for building under the MIH program. It is not solely out of their pocket, but I certainly acknowledge that obviously they'll take a hit in their profitability in order to do this, but in return for the advantages they're seeking from us. And so I think it's very important that we do not lightly give our assent to projects which, we need to see more from them. And so I think in the end, I'm going to be voting no, because I want to see deeper affordability. I think the project should be able, if not go all the way to 60% weighted average, do more. And I would like to empower the borough president and our council member when it comes time to vote on these things with the leverage to see more from the developers in return for the benefits that granting the zoning application, the real benefits will give them. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the chance. And Peter, thank you. I do understand what you're saying, Peter, and you come from a very knowledgeable perspective, obviously. 2 things that I just wanted to call out that maybe you're not aware of. The first thing is that we did, in an effort to lower the AMI, reduce the mix between 40%, 60%, and 100% AMI, which brought more units in at 40% AMI and at 60% AMI. So we did lower some of the AMI availabilities, although the average is still at option 2. Excuse me. It's not at 40/60, but we lowered the income band, but we're still at option 2. The second thing that I wanted to raise to your attention is that the 421A is due to expire on June 1st. We are now rolling into January 1st, and we are not even close to being done with Euler yet. 421 requires us to have foundations in the ground. There's no chance, or not a chance, there's no guarantee that we will make the 421-day deadline. So I just wanted to call to your attention that even though we are doing 80%, we did lower the bands down to the levels that are as low as can go, not at 40%, I misspoke, but as low as they can go in response to the committee's request. And the 421 is not a guarantee. So I just wanted to let you know that.
I appreciate that, Eric, and that's new information. I don't believe you had previously shared that the bands have been changed.
Yeah,
do we have an actual breakdown that's been provided to the board?
Permit has been in the last hearing. It's still at 80% AMI, but we've lowered the band so that it averages out. So there's nothing up at the high. There's not that much at the higher end. There's more at the lower end.
Pull that up. Do we have
Yeah,
that?
Eric, I don't know if I have that breakdown. That might be new information for me as well.
Jay Marcus, I don't know if Jay Marcus is on the phone right now, but hold on one second. I'm looking to see if I have the information right here in front of me. If you keep talking, I'll look for the information right now.
Sounds good. Does anyone else have any comments or questions while Eric looks that up?
Okay. Latrice here. I have a quick comment.
Hey, yeah, go ahead, Latrice.
I haven't been as well versed as some other board members, but one thing I did find interesting was that I didn't see any verbiage in regards to supportive housing. And also when I hear the phrase affordable housing bandied about, my default question automatically is affordable for whom? So like Peter, I have concerns based on what I do know about this project. I admit that I'm not as well versed to say you are, Pramit, as chair of the land use committee, but based on my limited knowledge of this project, if I had to vote right this minute, I would say I would vote no.
Thanks, Latrice. And just to clarify, there is no supportive housing. And by supportive, I assume you mean housing with on-site services, potentially for the formerly homeless or disabled tenants. There's nothing like that in this proposal, just because it's not legally required. As part of MIH, there's just an affordability requirement. There's no requirement for supportive housing.
And I appreciate that. But like I said, when I hear that phrase affordable housing, my default question is affordable for whom? Because when I see the ads for affordable housing in the newspapers like AM New York, like, you know, I can relate to this because even though I have a decent paying job and I'm stable, I've teetered close enough on the edge of homelessness to know that the prices that are being bandied about now are still out of reach for a lot of working class people.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Latrice, and that's why we've been talking so much about the exact affordability, AMI percent threshold, because it really does matter where we land. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I have Jay Marcus on the phone. He's been having some technical difficulties, so we're using old school with a phone to a phone.
Nice.
Jay, can you hear everybody okay?
I can. I've been watching on Facebook, so to make up for the technical difficulty. And yeah, thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. You know, I will say, by the way, for the last speaker's comments, I mean, some things.
Jay, if you could just introduce who you're with and who you are, just so everybody knows.
Sure. I'm with Fifth Avenue Committee. We're a nonprofit social and economic justice agency, and we do affordable housing development ourselves, typically the type of housing the woman was just talking about, but that require very deep subsidies from the government beyond just the property tax abatement, but deep subsidies literally between the low-income housing tax credit and money from the city that total $300,000 or $400,000 a unit subsidies, none of which this project is a part of or eligible for. And of course, we are also the marketing agent for this project. We're an HPD approved agency to help this team to market it. Michael and Eric's team to market this, and we'll be working with the community board when we do the marketing. And again, I also want to indicate we'd be very welcome. We just developed 158 units of senior housing, not too far away, in a little further south in Jamaica, for 100% very low income seniors, and are hoping to do more such projects in the borough. The borough president and both your current and new city council people obviously are very supportive of that, as is this team. For this project, though, the developer did want to do a mix, as Eric had mentioned. And right now, the mix that they proposed was a third at 70% AMI, a third at 80, and a third at 90% AMI. But I believe they're open to discussion on that as well. If you know, as well, just like they mentioned on some other issues, there can be further discussion. Right now, that's the commitment they're making. A third at 70, a third at 80, and a third at 90. And I know it's one they intend to keep. And actually, we've worked with Mike on other projects, and we know he's very dedicated to those issues. And so that's what they currently have here for the current mix that they've agreed to, based on your input and based on what they know is a community need. The only item I will mention is the need is tremendous when you're dealing with below really 120% AMI in New York City, including in Forest Hills, for affordable housing. So unfortunately, no matter what you're doing in the income bands, a lot of people who need housing cannot be served. But at least this starts by serving a fragment of the population, and 70, 80, and 90 is a fragment of the population in Forest Hills that can use housing, which is lower than market rents.
And Jay, it's possible even, Jay, to bring down the 90 and lower it even some more so that you even come down a little bit further, right? It's the average of the 80.
Right. It's the average you want to keep. They do need to keep this 80. I mean, you know, the bank and the city, how they look at this understands that their average revenue needs to be, for the affordable units, need to be that 80. But I do believe there are ways to do it where they could go slightly up and down, slightly lower than 70, slightly higher than 90, or slightly lower than 90 if that's, what the board wants, and then slightly higher than 70, or again, some other mix on percentage of units to average 80.
Got it. So it seems like the headline is you're flexible on the exact mix, but the 80% weighted average is something you need to hold fast to.
That's correct. And that's what the gentleman that spoke earlier, we're trying to make clear to him, as well as the 421. And listen, we'd like to build more. I've been in contact with members of your board already about other projects I have in the area that do have the ability to go deeper. Every project has a different economic base to it. This one, due to the size of the units, the size of the development, it just doesn't have the ability to go any deeper without the government funding.
Great. Thanks, Eric. Pat, let's go to you.
First of all, I don't want to see the destruction of art.
It's not about the art.
Please let me finish, please.
Go ahead,
At the Trilon movie theater, there may be murals behind concrete. Will there be any preservation of any of the murals that may be around the concrete and anything of the Trilon to be saved before the demolition takes place? And number two, I am against this project completely, but I know that I have to vote for affordable housing because I'm somebody who's going to need it eventually. And also, I care about my community. I would never destroy the Mona Lisa. Why should I destroy architecture that is art-worthy? But unfortunately, I don't have that power. But I do have the power of a vote on the community board to ensure that people in my community can have a place to live. I can still be against destruction and demolition, but I also have to make sure that people have a place to live. And I am requesting that when the demolition takes place, that the individuals who are responsible for the demolition make sure that they check to make sure any of the artwork from 1939 at the Trilon be checked and be saved. Number two, I can't do anything about the the Tower Diner being saved. I can't do anything. It's not going to happen. But as I said, I would like you to please go lower for affordable housing. There are plenty of people who can't make a dime because they live on Social Security and whatever affordability that can be granted to them is necessary. Will you be doing whatever you can to make sure that whatever art is available behind the concrete and behind whatever barriers there are at the Trilon, will you be making sure they're saved, number one? And number two, I am requesting that you go lower on the mix for housing.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Eric, we've spoken about number 2 already, about lowering affordable housing. So, we can refer back to previous comments on that, but you want to speak to number 1, art inside the Trilon? Will that
Yeah,
be
we're
safe
going
before
to try and
demolition?
save. We are going to save whatever is worthy of being saved, and try and incorporate it in the lobby areas and common spaces of the new development. And we have tried very hard. Your committee, land use committee, and the committee board has raised the issue of the architecture and the historical significance and the importance to the community of the design of the building of the Trilon Tower. Its heritage to the World's Fair, and they have tried to design the building that harkens to it a little bit. And there's some cues within the building. There's a clock. There's some rounded components to it at the corner. There are some components that they're trying to maintain and keep. The key is difficult to keep itself, and they're also looking at ways maybe to do that if they possibly can. But they're trying. And the importance of the building is not lost on them.
I just want to make a comment. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Who is this?
So the only one who's going to make out and do well with this development is going to be the developer. There are some people who will tear down the Acropolis if they know that they can make money off of it. Once an architectural gem is gone, it's gone forever. And in its place, what we will get is crowded schools, crowded buses, crowded streets, crowded everything. We'll get higher rents, and none of it will be going to those of us who come from more humble backgrounds. What we will see is a further development of the Forest Hills area into an area that is basically for white, affluent people. And the further segregation of the city will take place in our schools and in everything. So for that reason, I see absolutely no reason why the people of Forest Hills and Regal Park would be better off with this development. I'm absolutely going to vote no. And I know, even though we can't put a stop on it, we certainly do have a voice and we do matter. And it's not all just about rich, powerful white people. There are some of us in the city who also have the right to live and have the right to basic housing. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. And you sort of alluded to this earlier in your comment, but I do want to reiterate that if we vote no, I just want to make sure that people know that the building can still go up as of right. And I know
And
you
it will,
mentioned that, but I want to make
right.
sure that people understand.
But we can make our voice known.
Yep, exactly.
I think on that note, Prameet, do you want to just put up the committee recommendation?
Yeah, let's do
again?
it. Yes, let me share my screen so everyone knows exactly what we're voting on. All right, can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect. So just to summarize, our committee took this process very seriously, and we believe strongly in these conditions. So as reflected in our recommendation, we want to grant this rezoning, but we want to make sure that the needs of our community are taken into account, and these conditions reflect those community needs. So again, the committee recommendation is to approve this rezoning with the following conditions. And so when we vote, a yes vote means you approve the rezoning with these conditions, and a no vote means that the motion fails. And we'll have to go on to another motion. So I don't know if you want to do this now, Alexa, but just in the interest of transparency, if this motion fails, I am going to make a motion following it that we decline. So again, let me sort of break this out a little more clearly. So we're going to vote.
I think we should just go forward
You
with
think
your
we should just vote?
recommendation without, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
mean, yeah.
okay,
Don't you think?
but a no vote here just means that we say no to this specific recommendation.
Right, right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm done. Let's take a vote.
Okay. So I just muted myself. Okay. Right now, and just because it's easier. Oh, Heidi, your hand is raised.
Yes, I just have one question. The recommendation is asking for 60%, which we already know we're not going to have. So at that point, is the recommendation of the committee already that we know the answer is no? I'm confused when we're recommending something, that the committee is recommending something that we already know has been turned down by the developer. So how
Right.
could we vote on this recommendation?
My question.
It's a good question,
I just
Heidi.
don't understand.
And the thought is that if we go ahead with this, our belief is that there is still room to get the weighted average lowered, and that this will be leverage for people further on in the pipeline, the Queensborough president, the city council, to get that average lowered.
Okay, but Pramit, if we voted no, then they'd have to negotiate more with everybody, unless I'm misunderstanding something.
It's basically a way of framing it. So you're not wrong. So if we say yes with these conditions and the conditions are not met, then it basically turns into a no. But our belief is that having these conditions listed out clearly would just give more credence to the
It's a priority.
Exactly.
And just to say one more thing, so Permeet said if this, we're going to take this to the board is going to vote yes to this or no, not to this. But we don't have to brainstorm what the other motions can be, but there can be room for more motions if this fails. So right now, we're going to bring to the floor what's on the screen for just a couple more seconds, then we're just going to go back to the gallery view because it's easier for the vote. So we're going to go down as a roll call vote that you're voting yes in agreement of the committee's recommendation, yes, approving the zoning with the following conditions, or no. Okay. So Pramit, if you can stop sharing your screen, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. And you know where you are in the alphabetical list, so just know when you're coming up, please. And Michael, you're always first.
Yes, I'm first, and I vote yes.
Great. Anicia.
I vote yes.
Kavish is not present, unless he said he was on the phone, but I couldn't find his number. So I don't think he's here. Okay, Peter.
I vote no.
Miriam. I did see Miriam. We will come back. Miriam is here. Miriam, work on unmuting. Okay, I see you. Miriam, what is your vote? Miriam, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Maybe Miriam can't hear you, but I can hear you.
Miriam, I see her. She's unmuted. So I don't
Maybe
know.
she can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Maybe we can circle back around.
Yeah, we should circle back around. Someone remind me. Howie,
Yes.
Heidi,
No.
Sheridan,
No.
Alex,
Yes.
Latrice,
No.
John, thumbs down. Alejandra's not here. Heather,
Yeah.
Keith,
I vote yes.
Ethan left, I believe. Gail. Gail?
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay. Brendan,
No.
Bruce,
Yes.
Oded,
Yes.
Emmanuel is not here. Prameet.
No.
That was a no, right?
That was a no.
Okay. Mark,
No.
Ralph,
No.
Jonathan,
No.
Kevin,
That's close.
Yes.
Jack, I don't believe he has joined us. Dr. Mara,
Yes.
Steve,
Apparently, I don't know where I am on alphabetical order. No.
it's alphabetical by last name. Pat,
Under protest, but I have to vote yes because I want affordable housing.
Raphael has not joined us, I believe. No. Elizabeth,
I vote no.
Tanya,
No.
Shari,
No.
Gladys,
Yes.
David,
No.
Herb,
Yes.
Jean,
No.
Teresa,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Irina,
Yes.
Martha,
No. No.
Susan,
Yes.
Alexa is yes. Joan,
No.
did Edwin join us? I don't believe so. Daniel is not with us, so now I'm going to just loop back to Miriam. Miriam? Miriam? Miriam. Okay, I'm just going to have to go without Miriam's vote. I think it's going to be close, so just, Christine, you can let us know. I'm going to count as well.
Erin, give a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Oh my goodness. What do you have, Christine? Miriam doesn't hear me enough to do a thumbs up or thumbs down. Miriam, can you hear me and do a thumbs up? Miriam, thumbs up, thumbs down? No, she doesn't hear me. So,
Okay, I just wanted to count it again because it was so close, but 19 yes and 18 no.
that's what I
Is that
got.
what you got?
Yeah.
Wow.
So narrowly
Passed by one
passes,
vote.
which, yep, and that will reflect just the,
Yes.
you know, the nature of the project. And so I want to commend all of you for taking this so seriously from the beginning. Prameet, thank you so much for leading us through these sometimes rocky waters. And thank you to all the community members who came and gave testimony about what this building means to you. And thank you to the developers who were in open communication with us the whole time. Prameet,
And
do you have
Alexa,
any
just to summarize, just once more, what we're going to submit in as part of this Euler process is that we're going to say that Community Board 6 approves this rezoning, but with the following 5 conditions. So these conditions are going to be front and center and the rest of the process, the Queensborough president's going to be able to see it. The city council is going to be able to see it. So hopefully, as these talks and negotiations, keep moving forward, these conditions are taken seriously and incorporated into the final building design.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Permeet, and everyone. Okay, that said.
Alexa, I just have a question before we leave this. And
sure.
I know this has really been a discussion within the committee, but I just want to bring it. There was some talk about kind of like making more general comments about the challenges that this community board was put in and the limited options that we had. And I know that we had circulated a potential draft of a letter, and we've gotten very few comments. A couple people thought it was a decent idea. So is this something that we can continue to work on?
Mark, I think it's a really good idea that we should continue working on it. I just want to separate that overall letter from the specific Euler vote. So now that this vote is done, I think, yes, we should circulate that letter, make sure our elected see it, and make sure we, keep moving that discussion forward as well.
Okay, so it wouldn't be included when we send over our recommendations
not
to
in
our
this.
president, but it could be based on this experience. I would like to try to do this close, since we see how close this is and how challenging this has been, I think, for the whole community board and for the community. And I think, as we've discussed in this correspondence that we're creating, we could have potential to advocate for changes in this process. So I just hope we don't forget that as we look at this memo coming down the road.
That's a good call, Mark. Thanks.
Okay. So that said, we're on to item 7 on our agenda. So that's the Consumer Affairs, Economic Development, and Small Business Committee report. So that is Chair Elizabeth Gibbons. Go ahead, Liz.
Good evening, everybody. We have
Alexa,
three.
Sorry, Elizabeth, before you go, it looks like Frank is trying to speak, but he can't.
Who? Who's trying to speak?
Frank?
Frank Lucio.
I have a little bit of.
Oh, Frank.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, Liz. I just thought, with regard to what Mark said and what Permeet said, this is a very time-sensitive issue, and I agree with everybody. But I think that the reality check is simple. There's a change of administration going on as we speak. Every day the office gets letters. This one resigned, that one is moving on, etc. There's a flood of people leaving. Okay, this is what happens at the end of an administration. My suggestion would be, yes, to write the letter, compose the letter, and get it ready for sometime within the new year. I don't mean this summer, possibly early spring, when we see people in place. Why should we send a letter out that'll sit on someone's desk who doesn't know where the bathroom is yet?
Oh my God.
I said that to just have a little levity here, but that really is true. We need legislation, and it should be a major priority of not only our board, but all the boards. Tomorrow at my meeting with the 14 community boards, I will be announcing our position that it was so close on a particular situation, which proves to everybody that we need stronger legislation, and every elected official should get on board on this, whether it be state, federal, and citywide. So that's my thing for tomorrow when I run the 14 community boards meeting that I have on Thursdays. So thanks, Mark. Thanks, Permeet, for allowing me to say that, because I really believe in that. And by the way, for the public and everybody else, the Trilon, way back when, a number of years ago, the New York City Landmarks Commission said there was nothing there to be landmarked. We were taking a lot of heat on that, and it never was said. And when Ornaton took over, when Melinda Katz was council member, that place was stripped for the synagogue. So another factoid that never was mentioned, but you all know, and I believe the passion that everybody spoke about tonight, and I appreciated that as the DM. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you.
And actually, I just, I think Miriam now, yes, Miriam, yes, I see you, but we don't hear you. And I don't think you can hear us. Can you see us? Can you hear us? Can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear us? So if you don't give me a thumbs up, then I believe that you can't hear me right now. And I'm gonna have to move on. I saw you trying to get my attention. Can you hear me?
Hello?
I mean, who was Was that John Berzowski?
Yeah, I think I can get on.
What? Wow. Amazing. Glad to hear you, John.
Okay.
What, so did you have something to say, or did you want to just
Cindy. Oh, you're muted.
not see you? The issue here, and I just want to let everyone know, this is like Miriam, as everyone saw, was unavailable to vote when we had the vote. I've closed the item on the agenda. It was a very close vote. She now seems like she's calling. I don't know who she's calling. I don't really know what to do. I'm just going to have to move on at this point. Do I have support to do that?
Yeah, Alexa, I think we can close that vote.
Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry, Miriam. We're going to just have to move on at this point. And thank you, everyone. So back to you, Elizabeth.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. We have 3 renewals and 1 new application. I'm going to go through the renewals first. The first one is King David at 101-10 Queens Boulevard. And that restaurant is actually right around the corner from where I live. It's has a lot of great parties, and the food is really good there, and they are good neighbors, no complaints from 112 Precinct. The second one is Cuca Cafe, Inc., located at 112-04 Queens Boulevard in Forest Hills. I'm also very familiar with this cafe. They have very good wine choices and very good food, and they are good neighbors, no complaints from 112 Precinct. Lastly, it's the Billiard on Austin Street, 7049. Austin Street, if you like to shoot pool, it's a great place to go to. We had a quorum, and all of our members that did vote, and we had a quorum, voted yes, except for 1 abstention for the renewals. Finally, we have 1 new application, and it's very interesting because this new application is from Lux Bistro and Bar, located at 6118 93rd Road in Rego Park. And that is taking up the location that Boulevard 93 was at, which was located in the Wyndham Hotel. And as you know, in September of 2021, Boulevard 93 submitted a new application for a liquor license, and the majority of our members voted no because they violated a lot of the regulations and rules under COVID-19. Well, they are no longer in the picture. It's Lux Bistro and Bar with a new owner, will be located in the hotel. Both the hotel and Lux Bistro are closed, but they will be reopening in March of next year, March of 2022. And the menu will consist of seafood, pasta, and American appetizers, and much more. And their goal is to provide service to the hotel guests as well as service to the community as well. And again, the quorum voted yes to approve the application for Lux Bistro and Bar. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. So we are just going to do an equivalent of a hand vote, which is just everyone unmute themselves. We'll do 2. So the first one is unmute yourself. Well, let's actually, everyone's going to hate me. Let's do a roll call for the new one. And let's do a yes. We'll go back. You know what? This is my last vote. This is my last yes potential. And I don't think that anyone else will do it like I do it. So maybe there's a better way, and we'll see. And we're going to do it this way, and that's cool. So if we're going to go down, you're going to give a yes, and a no, and a yes, and a no, whatever you want. For the first one is going to be for the new one, and the second one is going to be for the renewal. If you do vote for no for the renewals, just let me know which one you're voting no for. Okay, Michael.
Yes to all.
Great. Anicia.
Yes to both.
Kavish is not here. Peter.
Yes, yes.
Miriam, have we connected? Do not believe we have. Howie,
Yes.
is that a yes, yes?
Yes,
You're voting for
yes.
2 things. Okay. Heidi,
Yes, yes.
Sheridan,
Yes, yes.
Alex,
Yes, yes.
Latrice,
Yes to both.
John,
Yes to both.
Alejandra's not here. Heather,
Yes and yes.
Keith,
I vote yes and yes.
Gail, Gail Gordon,
Yes, yes.
Brendan,
Yes, yes.
Bruce,
Yes, yes.
Oded,
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Mark,
Yes, yes.
Ralph,
Yes, yes.
Jonathan,
Yes, yes.
Kevin,
Yes, yes.
Jack is not here. Renee,
Yes, yes.
Steve,
Aye.
Pat, Pat Morgan,
Yes, yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes, yes.
Tanya,
Yes, yes.
Sherry,
Yes, yes.
Gladys,
Yes, yes.
David,
Yes, yes.
Herb,
Yes, yes.
Jean,
Yes, yes.
Teresa,
Yes, yes.
Robert, Robert, maybe not here anymore. Irina,
Yes, yes.
Martha,
Yes, yes.
Susan,
Yes, yes.
Alexa, yes, yes. Joan,
Yes, yes.
Edwin is not here and Daniel is not here. Thank you for that. And thank you, Elizabeth. And now we will go to, I think co-chair Bruce is going to be doing the Education, Library and Youth Committee report. So
Yes, I'm Bruce Grossberg. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the co-chair of the Education, Library and Youth Committee. Heather Dimitriadis is my co-committee chairman. The committee's met twice since our last meeting since our last general meeting in November. And rather than go through the minutes of the meeting chronologically, I'm going to try to go through them topic by topic, which I hope will allow me to move more quickly. We had met with Heather and I had met with Vijay Ramataj, and I hope I pronounced his name properly, who is the president of the Community Education Council 28, which covers our community board and also Briarwood, Jamaica, Kew Gardens, Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park. And we tried to talk about better ways to cooperate with each other. But he also gave us a list of the problems of overcrowding in our local schools, and Heather presented that to our committee at one of the meetings. And there's overcrowding in virtually all of the schools. The worst, of course, is Forest Hills High School, and the official number at Forest Hills High School is that they have 184% over capacity. And the board discussed whether or not there were things that we could do about that on a formal basis or an informal basis. And we didn't come up with anything that we can propose to the board at this point. But we talked about whether or not the city might be able to use its eminent domain to take property to perhaps build another high school, or whether or not we talked about the process we just went through, and this building cleared an environmental impact statement, but the fact of the matter is the environmental impact statement doesn't talk much about the whether or not this will cause overcrowding of schools. It's not really a factor that would make a difference in whether or not to clear an environmental impact statement just a matter of statute, but it's true. We focused on whether or not building new schools increased demand for people to move here. Some people think that's a good idea thing. Some people think that's a bad idea thing. But the fact of the matter remains that the sense of the committee is that we would like to have a new high school. We'd like to have a new high school as close to Forest Hills High School as we possibly can, because it's going to serve the same population. We had Ozzy Arohu, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. We had Ozzy Arohu address the committee also, who's from the Queens Community House. And he runs the Beacon program at the Russell Sage, which is the program that the community board always places so high on our list every year for capital and expense budgeting. I live next door to the Russell Sage, and I have a child in high school. And I really realized that the Beacon program covers students in all schools. It covers people of all ages. It runs programs that aren't necessarily education related. I was not aware that the Beacon program arose out of previous times to help the young people build connections and roots in the community, and kind of as an anti-crime measure. Of course, they discussed the funding and the need for and the need to get more people into the program. We also discussed a bit the Sunrise, that's what it's called, I'm sorry, the Summer Rising program that was a summer program for people in various schools, including Russell Sage, because the Queens Community House already has a footprint in there, and because the school has air conditioning. And we discussed the problems that the program had over the summer. The mayor overpromised. It was not as easy to get into the program as people said it would be. It was not as easy for the Queens Community House to get staffing because they had a problem clearing their staff. The staff needs to be cleared. You don't want the wrong people to be running programs with youth, but the resources to get these people cleared was unfortunate. We discussed the problem that a lot of the people who are accepted into the program do not attend the program. So children who attend who don't attend who take the seats of other people who would be better be able to use the program. But it's a short summer and a long problem, so I don't know how that's going to be resolved. We kicked that around a little bit, and we also.
Blasio is so out of control. This is what you.
Well, yeah, but that's right, and but he's leaving soon, and we don't know if there's going to be a Summer Rising program in 2022, and that's another thing we have to look at because we're in between administrations. Frank, I'm just repeating something I think you told me the other day, so you'll correct me if I'm wrong. You said to me that, from what you understand, nothing has happened to throw the scheduling of the Regal Park Library off. We're still scheduled where we originally were been, and we're hoping to get the improvements done on the Forest Park, North Forest Park Library and the Forest Hills Library, all consolidated and done in 2024. My own personal project.
I ask you to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My own personal project for 2022 is to try to get friends of the individual libraries. There's a Friends of Queens Public Library. We'd also like to get a friends of each of their branches. My understanding is the Queens Public Library is not averse to it. My informal understanding is I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to do. But I'm going to give it a whirl. We're going to try to get to see if we can get some more community involvement from the PTAs and the senior centers and the homeowners, all of whom can benefit from having good updated libraries in the community. I'm going to start to work on that. I'd also like to thank I'd also like to thank Martha Tucker, who's done an enormous amount of work setting the ground for the communications between Metropolitan and the North Forest Park Library. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was Intergenerational Program, and I hope Ralph and Mark cover that in their presentation because, as Alexis said, I am out of time. Have very happy holidays. It's nice to work with you all, and as I used to say in Hill Street Blues, be careful out there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. So something has happened on the back end here, and I have to put it to the board because I don't really know how to handle this. A board member apparently was trying to get on via phone, but did not let us know that this was happening. So when we took attendance, And this person has now emailed saying that they're a no vote and that they were a no vote during the roll call vote. However, this person was not on my register for voting because they were not present when I called attendance earlier on. With a no vote, this brings the issue to a tie. Now we have Miriam, who I don't know if she's trying to talk to me now, but she's clearly trying. So I do not know really what to do right now. So I'd love to hear suggestions. Peter? Go
Maybe
ahead.
we could call her.
Well,
If I could, I mean, it's a difficult situation. I certainly would feel bad if I myself was in that position and my voice wasn't heard at the same time. Votes kind of, they have to happen at a moment in time, and it's all of our responsibilities. Even when the technology is working against us, we have to be present, and that's sort of a snapshot in time. Once the vote is held, to constantly reopen it, we might, at what point do you stop? And so our procedures have been pretty clear. It stops when the vote's held and the moment ends, and then that becomes the vote. And I say this as someone who, voted the same way as this other individual. But I think it has to be left to what happened at the moment in the meeting.
okay. I mean,
Heard on point, Alexa?
can I just have a moment, please?
Yes.
This is all happening in real time right now. So 917, hold on, please, everyone. Maybe we can hear 917, 214, and I'm gonna promote this person. Okay, you are, Jack, you are now in the meeting. And you should be able to speak if you unmute yourself by *6. We took attendance earlier in the meeting, and I did not know that you were on at the time. So I've opened up the issue.
When you said *6, I was pressing unmute on my phone. So when you took, I didn't know you had to press *6 to unmute yourself. It should be in the instructions in the email. It says call this number. I called. You did the roll call vote. I said yes. I'm driving.
You did the roll call vote for attendance or
yes.
for?
No. When you did the initial roll call vote, I said yes, and I heard you say okay, and then everyone was talking, and I pressed mute. So I'm assuming you didn't hear me, but it should be in the instruction. You have to press *6.
The mute and unmute on the phone is for your phone, not for the meeting.
Well, I didn't know that. That's not even in the instructions in the email.
Well,
any logical person would think the mute and unmute would mute and unmute, not *6. That's nowhere in the instructions in the email at all. I tried registering for the event.
Everyone else on the board has used their computer and is sitting in a place where they can be seen. I definitely don't want to stifle the vote, which is why I brought it to the attention.
That's why. No, I agree. That's why I emailed you in real time as an electronic record. While you were voting and you called my name, I emailed you stating my case, stating no, so that there's no confusion. And I stated also I was having difficulties because I'm trying to unmute. I called back again. I tried registering via WebEx. I register. It says you've been approved by Alexa. Then I click on the link. It says you have to register. Then I close out the browser, do it again.
And it's easier not on a phone, which is part of the issue here. So I'm going to open up the floor for comments, conversation.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Alexa, I interrupted you.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Okay, so our general tendency should be to favor people to come and to be present and to voice their opinion. With that said, if there is credible evidence that he was in fact trying to get on and that he did his best in good faith, then I suggest, I move that we allow him to be admitted and to be treated as if he had been present with us the entire time, especially since it's pretty obvious that he did. And I would like to add, I mean, with all due respect, Peter, even in the legal profession, once there has been a hearing and there has been a decision by a court, that even then there's a provision to come back on an order to show cause and say, look, I had an excusable default and here's my defense. Please hear this case again, even in those cases. So it seems to me that we have absolutely nothing to lose. We're not going to be prejudiced in
I
any
want to have
way.
everyone keep their comments very, very brief. Thank you, Ralph.
And we have everything to gain by letting him be here and vote.
Thank you. John, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I believe that under the Euler matters, I mean, if the vote were counted and it would be, I guess, 19-19, it would basically simply mean that we were divided on the issue, that it neither passed nor failed. It wouldn't be like the matter was defeated. It would indicate the fact that the board was equally divided on the issue, and that would be a recommendation and a finding that would be sent to the borough president's office and to the and as Euler would proceed. And I think in that way it wouldn't be like the matter is defeated. It means that the matter is tied. So I think that it may take a little bit of the sting over by counting that vote, and I'll leave it at that.
If I may jump in.
Alexa, you're muted as well.
Can you unmute me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want. Sorry, Christine. Can you try to get in touch with Miriam by phone? Because now we're going to just have to pull in all the technologically the issues. So John, I'm sorry I cut you off, and I'm going to move on here to Latrice. Go ahead.
I think Frank wanted to say something.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that was sorry.
No, thanks, John. Thanks, John, a lot. I agree with John. I agree with Peter. I agree with her. But here's my thing. Every month, simply speaking administratively, at the end of the next day, we get calls from people who I try to get on, this, that. We don't know what to do. We want to do the right thing. We understand this is a difficult situation. We all understand that, but this is a Euler process, and there's a lot of legality here. But again, I agree with John. I don't think it's going to make a big difference, but every month, look, we're all adults here. We've been doing this before. I don't think there are any more excuses. Mute, unmute. Stop video, put video on. Come on, guys. Come on, people. We've got to get, this is not going away. We might be doing this for a very long time and go back and forth with votes. I think the legality gets involved. I'm sorry. I just had a.
Yeah, no, I know. I think everyone's going to have a lot to say, but Latrice, back to you.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, Latrice. I don't have a contact phone number for Miriam here at my house. So if she can somehow get in touch with someone else, I mean, if somebody has her phone number and they want to email it to me, it's fine. I don't physically have her phone number.
Okay, thanks, Christine.
My question is basically, what does Robert's Rules of Order say about matters like this?
Robert's Rules was written well before online
I'd like to
meeting.
answer that. The rule I made a motion, and the motion is still on the floor that we should vote on this. And what we vote is going to hold.
No, actually, I pulled it up. I just looked it up myself because I was curious as well, Latrice. That's a great question. And according to what I've just pulled up, it says the motion to reconsider, which is what we're looking to do. We're looking to reconsider the vote that we've already taken, may be made only by a member who voted on the prevailing side in the original vote, such as someone who voted yes if the motion had passed or voted no if the motion was defeated. The motion to reconsider then is debatable to the extent that the motion is being reconsidered. So the motion to consider has to be put forward by the prevailing side, at least from what I've pulled up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I kind of dug into it a little bit because I didn't know either. I was confused, and I think
Peter. I can simply say that I believe that's correct.
Okay, thank you, John. I see a few people's hands, and I just want to make sure everyone is heard here. So, so who do we have here first? We have Heidi, Bruce, Brendan, and then Miriam has her hand up, so I'd love to hear from her. Go ahead, Heidi.
Okay, I just don't think that this would be a motion to reconsider. I think that somebody made a good faith effort to vote. I think that they sent in an email to prove that they had a good faith effort to vote. We are under technological difficulties at times, and I don't think it is a good precedent for this board if someone's making a good faith effort to attend and a good
Correct.
faith effort to vote, for us to say no because it just so happened that it didn't get through. I
Okay,
just,
thank you,
I
Heidi.
think it's a wrong thing to do.
Okay, and just for the
And
record,
not,
it
and
is
not necessarily a legal thing to do.
floor to have this conversation. So, you know, I'm happy that we're doing this collaboratively. I didn't just, I mean, I'm here checking my email, like what the technology reach for me to run this meeting is extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So
Alexa,
I'm
this is
also
an-
doing my best, and I want everyone to
Alexa,
know that I
this
am
is an-
acting in good faith. Okay?
Alexa, this
Okay.
in no way is a criticism of you. I just
know,
think
but I'm
as a
just
matter of
I'm in this
precedent, if
situation,
someone's
and I'm
trying to
saying
vote, that they should be
that's
considered
fine.
as a vote.
I
Look,
understand that. This is not a good situation.
I
Yeah?
just want to say I don't want to have any problems. I really thought you heard me when I was driving. I didn't know I had to press stars anything. I thought you
Right.
unmute and then you mute like any conversation. I've called into Zoom before. I mute and I unmute. I've
I mean,
called
you don't
into
do it with the mute. There's always a star or something, but it's true. It's not in our. No one else calls in really, so like we didn't. The instructions we made were for people who are sitting at home in front of their computer. However,
Yeah.
sometimes people are driving, so we should have included that. I
And
want
I
to
did
act
try.
with full
I mean,
transparency. Okay.
all right.
So
No, all right.
wait, what did you say? Sorry, I missed the end.
No, I did try. When I clicked register for event, I got an email right before the meeting, and it said Alexa approves your registry right before the meeting.
Okay.
So when
yeah,
I
you're already
then
as a board member, you're already registered, so you never have to register. But anyway,
right. So when I
Brendan,
click on the link says you must register for this event.
listen, we've
So
had
then I
trainings,
close up the
we've
browser.
gone through it. Like I know you've had issues before. We've tried to have trainings. Like I want to make this work for everyone, so I just want to hear everyone's comments and then move forward. So Brendan, go ahead.
Thank you. So just, regarding the trying to access the meeting unsuccessfully, the way I think about it is if this were in person and your train were delayed and you weren't there, you're not there. I don't think it's necessarily, that might not be the best way, might not be the way that people look at it, but you get a flat tire and you're not there, you're not there. That's the way I perceive it. And while it just is a future suggestion.
But he was there.
But you weren't able to participate, right? And I don't think it's the
I heard
responsibility of
everything
the
you were
chair.
saying. I heard everything you were saying. I heard when you stopped him, when you asked questions about the leverage of the 80% to the 60%. Then I heard Latrice giving her version of basically saying how she doesn't know as much as you do in your profession, but she explained her issues where she wanted to have affordable housing. And then after that, you came to a vote, and then I said yes, and then nobody was listening to me. So then I kept on trying to re-register.
Just practically, and for the chair is the absolute worst person to try and communicate with during a meeting. They are not looking at their email, I hope, and are chairing the meeting. So I don't think there's any expectation that Alexa should have fielded this during the meeting. And I think that the fact that you saw it now is pretty exemplary. On a practical note regarding the vote, we and I'm on, I voted no, so another no vote. I bring this closer to the conclusion that I wanted. But on a practical note, we voted yes for something with certain conditions, which the developers already agreed that they're not going to meet. Is that not voting no?
Yeah, it's two different ways to skin a cat. So I mean, or whatever that saying is.
I don't think
yes,
that's the issue. That's not the
that's
issue.
not the issue. Really.
No, I understand that, but if the resolution of this is not going to determine what we've said to what we're kicking up to the next step of Euler.
Let's just make sure that everyone else is heard. So totally, thank you, Brendan. Miriam, are you able to communicate with us?
Alexa, I spoke to Miriam. It's
Okay.
Christine. I missed the conversation you just had because I was on the phone with Miriam. But if you want her vote, she gave me her vote verbally over the phone. She has been trying to get on. She cannot be heard for some reason. She has been watching what's going on, and that's what she relayed to me.
Okay. What is
What
her
did-
vote?
I don't think
Her
we
vote
should
was
suppress.
no.
Well, I guess we shouldn't get her vote. I don't know. Let's resolve this issue first. Irina, do you have something to add?
No, I agreed with Brendan. It's like if you're late to a meeting, your vote's not going to be heard. So, and I've called in from my phone several times to the meetings. You always say press *62. Like it's been over communicated how to use when you are calling from a phone to mute or unmute. So, yeah, that's where I stand.
Okay, thanks, Irina. David Schneier.
Just briefly, I don't want to suppress anybody's vote. I mean, they were clearly here throughout this meeting. I think we should just take a motion like Ralph proposed. Do we want to accept the votes or not?
Well,
And
I
also
already,
the member, the present, is he going to be marked present or not? This is not a question of him trying or not trying or being smart or not smart. First of all, it happened to me too this evening and prior evenings. The question is, he was at the door banging and begging to get in, trying to get in, and nobody heard him. That's different than somebody who was late, whose car broke down, didn't make provisions. And I'll be
Okay.
quiet. I know I've spoken a lot this evening.
Thank you, Ralph. I think there was one more hand up, but I think it was taken down. So I'm going to look to maybe Gail and
Hey, Alexa,
Peter.
I have one
Oh.
quick comment. I think, was it Jack, the gentleman on the phone? I think
Yes.
whatever we decide for Jack, we should make the same call for Miriam as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, I mean, what, like,
It's a motion on
now.
the floor.
Alexa, I
yes.
tried to raise my
Yeah, Martha,
hand.
your hand was up. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yep.
From my experience, I do a lot of Zooms on different platforms. If you have poor Wi-Fi, which you really never know, you're not allowed to speak. The only thing you can do, you either miss video or you miss audio. And I don't think we can penalize anybody because of poor Wi-Fi conditions that they don't know about, because this is all new technology. If Miriam was in the room, she would have been heard. So I please, since you're moving on to trying to understand and develop and using technologies, it's not perfected. Please let her vote count.
No, I wasn't going to not let her vote count. I didn't want her vote to determine what we were determining about Jack. Like it's not like, so I just want to take them as two separate issues. And Jack, I'm sorry that you're like kind of in the midst of this situation.
No, it's all right. I mean, listen, I have personal ties to the theater. Growing up in Regal Park, you know, I went there with my family. You know, my younger sister, my father, they both passed away in October. So there's a lot of personal connection to the site, to the location. My aunt still lives around the corner to this day. And for me, even working in that area as a fireman for many years, it's something that's very close to me. So, you know, I did try, but I didn't know you had to press star anything. I thought it was mute, unmute. And every time I don't know. So that's that.
Can we call the vote on the motion?
Yeah, we got to vote on the motion. I motion that we take a vote, please.
Second the motion.
What exactly is the motion?
Have to be made from someone who's in the yes, and Ralph was a no. What is the motion on the floor? What is
The
who
motion
made a
would just,
Yeah.
the motion would be to accept the two votes that were attempted to be communicated to us previously. Miriam
Peter, I
and
think
Jack.
it's more basic than that. I think the first motion is, are they present for purposes of this meeting? And if they are present, are we going to accept their vote?
Okay, let's just.
And that's the motion that I made when I initially spoke on this point.
Okay, if they are present for the vote, I will mark them present for the meeting. They're one and the same
Correct.
to me for
Yes.
bookkeeping process. Okay, fine. So my question is, based on what Heather pulled up from Robert's rules, it seems like the person who brings a motion to the floor about that vote needs to be someone who voted in the majority of the vote, correct?
That's a vote to reconsider. We're
What-
not doing the whole vote
Alexa,
over
I
again.
don't think that
We're not
rules on point.
reconsidering.
Fine.
We're
So
not
we are
reconsidering
even-
anything. We're
Ralph,
considering.
can you
we're-
please, Ralph, fine, everyone. Ralph, can you please restate your motion, please?
All right, my motion is I move that we mark these two individuals as present for today's meeting, and then, having done so, accept their respective votes.
Okay, so
Seconded.
the motion on, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, okay, Michael Arcadi. Audio, don't fail me now. Michael Arcadi.
Don't see him.
Michael Arcadi. We are not gonna go back on another vote. I see your name.
Although
Okay.
it certainly shows Jack's point.
Anicia.
Yes.
Kavish is not here. Peter.
Considering they tried so hard to get on, yes.
Miriam, that's the issue. We'll skip over her. Howie.
Yes.
Heidi.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Latrice.
I guess, yeah.
John.
Yes.
Heather.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Gail.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Oded.
Yes.
Emmanuel is not here. Prameet.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Kevin. Jack. You can vote on this, Jack.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Dr.
Hello?
Mira. Yep.
Yes.
Jack, was that, I
Yes,
thought I heard a
that
yes
was
from
me.
you.
Yes, you know what it is?
that
It's a bad habit. I press mute, then I press *6, then it muted me, then I press *6
Okay,
again, it unmuted me. Then
just keep it unmuted until the conclusion. Dr. Mira.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Pat. Elizabeth.
Yes.
Tanya.
Yes.
Shari.
Yes. Yes.
Gladys.
Yes.
David.
I love this family. Yes.
Herb.
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Teresa. I can't hear Teresa. Is she still here? Teresa? You know what? I blame WebEx. That is on the record. Okay, well, Teresa, we don't hear you. Robert? I don't think he's here anymore. Irina?
Yes.
What was that, Irina?
Yes.
Okay. Martha?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Alexa? Yes. Joan?
Yes. Sorry, I don't know that.
So the only people that we didn't, so Pat
I
and
vote
what do you vote?
yes.
Okay. And Teresa? Okay. And okay, I think that's it. Okay, fabulous. Let's count their votes. Jack, how does your what do you vote on this Euler?
I vote no.
Okay. Where are you here? Okay. Christine, how does Miriam vote?
Miriam votes no, and I asked her to email me her vote just to have it on the record.
Okay, good idea. So with that, what do we end up as? 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
the committee's recommendation fails. So
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 wow,
I'm gonna
we are in.
Madam
okay, so we're
Chairman?
opening it back up again.
Madam Chairman?
So we're not on that, we're still on that agenda item then, right?
Wait, John, I
Madam
think
Chairman?
Ramit has something to say.
Yeah, so because that motion failed, I'm gonna go ahead and make another motion. And because those conditions were so important to us, I vote, or my motion is that we reject the rezoning, but with the same conditions. So basically, that would mean that we say, no, we don't like this rezoning, but if the developer were to meet all of those conditions, then that would flip our vote to yes. At that point, we would be comfortable with it. Does that make sense to everybody?
No, it
Yes.
doesn't, because the developer has already stated that they're not going to meet those conditions, which is
Right, but if they change their mind, because this process is still ongoing, there's a lot more steps to it with the borough president, et cetera. If they at some point meet all those conditions, then we can say, yes, we're on board.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the.
This is Jean. Can I say something, please?
Well,
Alexis, yes, Jean.
can you raise your hand? Because there's
Yeah,
people with
we
hand
just
raised.
took the vote.
Okay, Jean, there's a process. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
Jean,
you.
I'm sorry, I had raised my hand. I apologize, but
Jean,
I
you
think-
raise your hand and then I'll call on you, okay? Peter, go ahead.
yeah, so actually, Pramit, can I suggest we make this simpler? It's merely that the motion be that we transmit with our rejection of the ULURP application the conditions that the committee had approved. We don't need to make a statement whether our vote would flip or not, or anything like that. Just that when we send the letter, hold on one second, John. Just that when we send the letter to the borough president rejecting the ULURP application, we include in that same letter the conditions that the committee had developed.
Yeah, I think we're effectively saying the same thing. Maybe I phrase it inartfully, but yes, we're going to say we don't accept the rezoning, and we have these conditions that we're going to submit.
Yeah, I would. Can I speak briefly on this? I think, again, we're probably very close to the same thing. But I mean, I would just say that the position of no with the conditions was the minority position on the committee, which was a narrow vote. And I think one of the reasons why it makes sense for us to do this is it really gives further ammunition to the borough president and to the city council as the Euler procedure goes forward. It will give them a greater amount of latitude to fight for as much as we can, to get as much as we can. And I think in this regard, it strengthens us. As I said, I frankly thought no with conditions was the better position in terms for us to take, to try to see that we can get as much as we can. We're not going to get the Garden of Eden back yet, what's there, but we could get some very significant improvements. And so I think by basically taking the position of no, but with the conditions that we would insist upon, it puts this board in the best position that it can be. And I would certainly urge that we even vote on that way.
Okay. Listen, we have Martha and then Jean, and please keep your comments brief. So Martha, go ahead.
I believe, I think in all fairness, if we do vote no, let's readdress and redevelop other ideas so that everybody can work collectively to a yes. It shouldn't be a if no then. It should be okay. It was no. Let's revisit the situation. Let's see what we can do together. Let's work together so that it can be a yes.
Martha, if I could just interject briefly, our official role in the ULURP process ends with this vote. We can't renegotiate with a developer formally. We can't. They're not under any obligation to engage with us. So these comments that we're submitting, we should take as our final official role in this process.
Okay, great. And Jean, go ahead.
Boy, this is some hell of a night. We say yes, we lose. We say no, we lose. We don't seem to get it any way around this. I just think at this point, we're taking so many votes. We came here to vote either a yes or no. We finally got the hands up on the vote. And it's no. That's what we came to do. Not keep changing it. If we say a no, then you propose something else. There was no other proposals here. There was 2 votes that were going to be made tonight, a yes or a no. We took the last vote. It's now a no, and it should be left at that.
Just to
That's what I do.
clarify, the motion was to accept the committee recommendation originally. We said we would not accept the committee recommendation. We still don't have a position on the Euler at this point. So we have to have a position. So the motion that I made was we would say no to the rezoning with the conditions.
And also
And that's
for
what's
the
on the floor
record,
now.
anyone can make any motion. We can be here all night
Yeah.
making motions and voting. There's no limit on
No,
the amount of.
I'm gonna tell you
We
that
can
right
break
now.
records tonight, people. We can do it. We can get in the Guinness Book of World Records for the amount of votes that a community board has taken. So,
Did
so
Pramit
that's-
make a motion before, just for clarification?
This is not that complicated.
Pramit
Yes,
did make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so right now, Pramit, for everyone in the back, please just restate what we're going to be voting on right now.
Yes, so the motion on the floor is that the community board says no to the rezoning, and we're going to submit those same conditions that we saw earlier.
Okay, so from the
So
top.
sorry, just to clarify, if you vote yes, that means you support that position. You support that we're going to disapprove of the rezoning and submit those conditions.
Okay, very good point of clarification. A yes means that
You support
you're
my motion.
supporting what Pramit has on the floor right now. Michael Arcadi. Anise, and I'm going through ones, I'm not going to loop back, okay? So know where you are. Anicia.
Yes.
Kavish is not here. Peter.
Yes.
Miriam, I don't know. Christine, would you mind? I'm sorry to ask you again. Would you please contact her? Thank you. Howie.
Yes.
Howie?
Yes.
Okay. Heidi.
Yes.
Sheridan. Sheridan? It's not here. People don't know what happened at this meeting. Alex.
Yes.
Latrice.
If y'all want to go back and forth all night like a pendulum, you're gonna have to do without me. My position stands. No. We're done. I am anyway.
So this is not, so you're voting no on the motion, right? Okay. John.
Sir,
Yes.
I moved from this.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Okay, I got you, John. Heather.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Gail.
Yes.
Brendan.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Oded.
No.
Emmanuel, no, oh, sorry. Pramit.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Jack.
No.
Renee.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Pat.
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Yes.
Tanya.
Yes.
Shari.
Yes.
Gladys.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Herb.
Yes.
Jean.
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes.
Robert. Oh, I think he's not here. Irina.
No.
Martha,
Question, if I vote yes, it's no to the rezoning, correct? I'm just a little confused.
yes, it's no. A yes vote is
Yes.
no.
Yes, it's
Okay,
no.
yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm
Yes,
I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
confused.
confusing. I'm glad that you clarified. You don't want to like vote not, not getting it. Susan,
Yes.
Alexa is yes. Joan,
Yes.
Edwin and Daniel are not here. So, okay, so the motion passes. So we have changed our vote, basically a different outfit, but the same party, that we are a no vote to the rezoning unless these same conditions are met. So I love you all, and I'm glad that we got through that.
Alexa, I think Christine has a
Oh,
vote, Miriam's vote.
Fabulous, thank you. What is Miriam's vote?
Miriam votes yes in favor of a no vote for the rezoning.
Great, thank you. Okay, so that still doesn't change how much I love you all. Thank you very much. I'm glad that we got through this. We really don't have a lot more time. I don't know. I think we go dark at 10. This is quite a meeting. Back to the agenda. We have aging social services and we have good and welfare. I want to ask Mark, please keep it very, very, very brief.
It's going to be very brief. Okay.
Okay.
Basically,
now going on to like,
we had a redistricting presentation November 29th. Jeff Weiss explained the importance of the redistricting process. We're in the process of evaluating our senior survey, thanks to members Latrice Davis, Teresa Simmons, and citizen member Dana Kaufner, who summarized the initial findings. We'll be discussing them at our next meeting. And finally, we're planning an intergenerational forum. The Aging Social Service Disability is formed a subcommittee to develop a forum. We're going to have 3 seniors and 3 young people interviewing each other and then having a panel discussion. And I'm proud to announce Gail Gordon is going to be one of the participants, and you can guess if she's going to be the senior or the young person. Anyhow, that's my report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So on to good and welfare. First of the community board, I'm going to ask you guys like 30 seconds, super brief. Anytime comments can be sent into the office that can be sent around to everyone. I think you understand that it is not an effort to stifle comment, but in order to get us in bed before the sun rises. Okay, Heidi, go ahead.
Okay, next Wednesday at the American Legion Hall in person, the precinct council is having our meeting. Everyone is invited to attend. Thank you. And happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Martha, your hand is still up. Do you have something to say now, or is it residual? Okay, it's down now. Herb, go ahead.
Yeah, blood drive at Queens Jewish Center, Sunday, December 19th, from 8:30 to 2:30 in the auditorium. It's on the corner of 66th Avenue and 108th Street.
Great, thanks, Herb. Heidi went. Heather, go ahead.
Okay, really quickly. We've talked a lot about schools. We've talked a lot about class size in our committee meetings. Just wanted to let you all know, if any of you are interested in pushing our speaker and our current council member for smaller class sizes, please pick up the phone, send an email. Do it this week. There is a bill with 41 sponsors for the city council that would reduce class size. It has not been brought to a vote, and if it's not brought to a vote, we'll have to kickstart this whole process all over again. So please, if you are interested and you believe that our class sizes are too big, which as a parent I'm saying yes they are, please take a moment and reach out to your appropriate elected official in the city council. Thank you all so much and have a great evening.
Okay, thanks, Heather. And Pat.
Sweet. Accessorite still sucks.
Nothing's happening.
That's, you know what, Pat, we should continue, we should connect offline and just see what we could do to get that back in everyone's, in the front of everyone's burner. But did you have, is that it? Is that it?
I just wanted to voice for the good and welfare, it still stinks and we need to improve it.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Pat. Okay, so everyone on the board's hand is down. So now we go to elected officials. And my list is here. We have Michael Carlier and Burrito Rosario and Sean McCabe. So Michael, We'll go in that order. Go ahead, Michael.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just first of all, on behalf of Assemblyman Hevesy, he would like to make sure the public is aware that the New York State Homeowners Assistance Fund will be opening January 3rd. HAF is a federally funded program that's dedicated to assisting homeowners who are at risk of default, foreclosure, or any sort of housing displacement as a result of COVID-19. We previously had the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, which was for renters. This is sort of like that, except for homeowners. So those in co-ops and such are also eligible. The website is open now. Applications are not, but there is a document list and FAQ section that would be nyhomeownerfund.org. The hotline is also open for questions. That's 1-844-776-9423 or 844-77-NY-HAF for short. Our office does intend on fielding calls and assisting constituents with this, so you can also call our office at 718-263-5595 for any questions and concerns regarding the Homeowners Assistance Fund. Again, just do want to reiterate that opens January 3rd, so we're still about a month away, but best to get your documents in order now, being that funding is limited, so you'll want to get organized sooner rather than later. On a separate note, the Assemblyman is continuing his PPE distributions in and throughout the district. We're doing that about once or twice weekly at this rate. So we are posting that on social media and our website if you're interested in stopping by throughout the neighborhood to pick up free face masks as well as hand sanitizer. Or you can also call our office to schedule a pickup in our office as well. And last but not least, in regards to our park cleanup series that just concluded over the Thanksgiving break. That has concluded, but we will be picking that up sometime in the spring or summer, just so folks are aware. But we will still be doing these PPE distributions. And
okay.
Last but not least, just thank you, Alexa, to your time leading this community board as the chair, and Assemblyman Hevesy and our office has had a pleasure working with you, and we wish you best of luck in the future.
Thank you. I think all the other representatives have pieced out, and they will send us their information that we will include in the minutes. Or sorry, who was that?
This is Amparito. I'm still here. I'm sorry, I'm on my phone.
Oh yeah, we asked for your number and we didn't know what your number was. Please go ahead. Keep it brief, but go ahead.
I'll be
Go
brief.
ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Borough President would like to invite everyone to the tree lighting at Borough Hall, December 17th at 4:30 p.m., followed by Movie Night for the Family, which begins at 6 p.m. at the Helen Marshall Cultural Center. Please RSVP, and proof of vaccination is also required. There's also going to be the Kwanzaa celebration on Wednesday, December 29th from 6 to 7:30 in the Helen Marshall Cultural Center. And I think that's all for tonight. And I just want to wish everyone on behalf of the Borough President and myself, happy holidays. And Alexa, thank you so much for all the work that you've done during your tenure as chair. So thank you, and happy holidays again.
Thank you, Amparito, sorry. And I see James from the New York City Controller's Office is here, although I don't see like an audio component for his presence. So James, if you're here and can participate, let us know if you want to say something. If not, you could always send something to our office. But that's it. That was the time that I gave him to let us know. So it's over, and it's been real. It's going to be fun to read these minutes, and we can always watch it over if you have a free weekend to watch another meeting on the YouTube channel. But just again, thank you so much. I mean, I think it just goes without saying, getting through kind of the pushes and pulls of this meeting and the issues it brought up. And I'm just so grateful for the support and just the leadership of the people on the board in just working together. So thank you so much. Happy holidays and have a great.
And good luck to you.
Thank you, Alexa. You've been incredible.
I'm not going
Thank you.
anywhere, everyone. But thank you, Howie. Okay.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good evening.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.